I'll give thanks for life and the mighty life giver, Holy Emmanuel, I, Selassie, I, Jah, Rastafari. This is the African Liberation Network. I am the host, Honorable Prophet Daniel, and this is the International Bobo Shanti Study Group. I give thanks for all those with us, presently in the Zoom meeting. Give thanks for all those, tuned into the live stream on YouTube and those that will be watching in the future. At this time, we'll say, the prayer, opening up the program. I would like to allow Prophet Joseph to go ahead and say the prayer, my Lord.
Oh my Lord, give thanks for the honor, royal black supremacy, reverence in the court of the mighty King David, for we into the bears, alert, sky and sea. Glory be to our Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy One of creation. As Jah was in the beginning, is now, and never shall be, Jah world without end. Selassie, Jah, Rastafari, let the word of our mouth and the meditations of our heart be acceptable in thy sight, the conquering lion. A tribe of Judah shall break every chain. Ethiopia, royal nation, well kingdom. Ethiopia, Africa, Black International Congress, Church of Salvation, the mission of the King, victory of good over evil, Black Christ in flesh, speak to all nations. Come in, my little ones, come into my Father's house. Black Christ, Holy Emmanuel, I, Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. Give thanks for another morning of reasoning. Give thanks for another international gathering. Come into our heart, King Negos, come into our heart. Come into our heart, we pray. Come into our hearts today. Holy King Selassie, Jah,
Rastafari.
Blessed love, my Lord.
My Lord, give thanks, Honorable.
Rest.
Yes, I give thanks, Prophet Joseph. Yes, today's topic is, Melchizedek's righteous government. You have to do the screen share first at the bottom of the screen, my Lord.
My Lord. Yes.
Die den Wunsch, nach Afrika in die Heimat zurückzukehren, täglich in ihrer Musik verkünden. Ihre Zahl wird auf 75.000 geschätzt. Äußeres Merkmal: Haare, die nicht geschnitten werden dürfen und die sich im Laufe der Zeit zu Locken aufdrehen. Rasta ist, wer sich zu Kaiser Haile Selassie bekennt, dem direkten Nachkommen des Königs Salomon und der Königin von Saba. Rastas leben in Gemeinschaften und entziehen sich dem jamaikanischen Alltag. Nach dem Militärputsch in Äthiopien und dem Tode Haile Selassies breitete sich Niedergeschlagenheit aus. Hier oben, in der Nähe von Kingston, zurückgezogen auf diesen Berg, lebt der selbsternannte schwarze König der Juden, Prinz Emmanuel.
Wir sind immer noch auf der Suche nach einem Weg zurück nach Afrika. Wir wollen wieder eine Nation werden, aber es ist unmöglich. Niemand begreift, warum wir nach Afrika wollen, weil wir dahin gehören. Der Kaiser ist tot. Unsere Hoffnung, dass er uns heimholen würde, begraben mit ihm. Wir haben uns auf diesen Berg zurückgezogen und einen eigenen Staat ausgerufen und uns unter den Schutz der UNO gestellt. Die jamaikanische Regierung kann oder will uns nicht helfen. Unsere Lebensbedingungen werden von Tag zu Tag schlechter. Was bleibt, ist der Stolz.
The condition of living, the government don't help, the government don't assist the people.
Yes, we are running up, just shining way. We are running up, just shining way. For Satan said one crop, saying want to turn us back, but we are running up, just shining way.
Sind die Rasta?
Thanks, my Lord. Yes, today's topic is Melchizedek's righteous government, the fifth kingdom of Jesus Christ. And, we're going to really reason about the history of the Congress, which started out as far as having a name, the first name, as far as I know, is the African National Congress. And, over time it took different names and it eventually became the Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress Church of Salvation. But, in this particular reasoning, we wanted to really touch on the government aspect of the Congress, being that it is a Congress, it is a government. So Priest Dougie was going to share with us a kind of a synopsis of really the history, starting from, I think even before the conference in 1958 on March 1st, but he's not in right at the moment. So our elder Empress Maisie is on. I would like to ask her if she has anything that she would want to say to open up the reasoning. Otherwise, we'll just go forward with some, different aspects of, the government. Empress, I would like to allow the eye to go first if you want to.
All right, my Lord and Majesty, blessed love, to one and all, give thanks again for health and strength. Give thanks for the opportunity to be here, once more on the study group, where we can reason about, the government, the EABIC, through the Divine Church of Salvation, and give thanks to each and everyone, who participate this morning, who finally take time out of their busy schedule, to join, and to join in the discussion and to learn about the government, that we are a member of. Most High Selassie Jah.
Yeah, Rastafari.
Rastafari. Well, my Lord, I can speak, of when I joined, when I start, I'm a member of the Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress in 1979. But I heard about, the history before, and so on. Well, as I said, the Congress, the movements was carried on before the Congress was formed. Because that back into the 1920s, we found letter that I used to write heads of government and all of that, about his people still from into them time. And coming on, the history and coming on right up until the man decided, to form the Congress in 1958 at 54B Spanish Town Road. So we give thanks this morning for the Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress, through Divine Church of Salvation. We the people, above all organization, we stand governmental, parliamental, churchical, and statical, sabbatical, with our worthy founder, our president, our God and King, the most right honorable King Emmanuel, Charles Edward, Most High Selassie Jah. Rastafari. The founder, the founder of this Congress. Well, my Lord, King Emmanuel government, the man laid the foundation, see it, and him open wide the door. And that has set everything within the government, right? For I and I, as a people, to live and to straighten back ourselves and to teach us the way, how we save ourselves and all of that. The government started in 1958 at 54, the Spanish Town Road. A lot of tragedy go through, a lot of things go through where they burn down the camp, saying that they are worshiping dead people, dead man or whatever. So they came and they burned down the camp. And when they burned down the camp, they moved from there to Davis Lane to Aki Lane, about 6 places that I go before I reach 10 miles Bull Bay, where the man seated up in north beside of Waraka Hill, where we are right now. So within them history, there's still I don't know. I don't know of it, you know. I hunger heard of it, and you heard so much little different things saying still, you know, of thing what happened. Even when he gathered the 3,000 Rastaman at you know, what I said, the convention, 58 convention, and where you know, 3,000 Rastaman were gathered, and the unruliness of them caused the father to go through a tragedy and certain things same way, you know. So all those history still, I woman hear of them. Probably I don't remember all right now, cause you know, say the elder get elderly still, and it's not everything she remember, you know, and younger ones which are, you know, bright mind who been through can come and straighten us the argument still. But I am just saying what I remembered right now. Yeah. And the father go through all of that. And then moved to 10 miles Bull Bay where I come and join the camp. You know, the father set everything for the camp, right? And we must manifest the work within the government, you know. The strength of the government of Broomfield, you know, where the man set broom, you know, for him, where that's, you know, for him food, you know, cause the broom will sell and provide the food in the house, you know. There are other things that we do, other craft that we do to stay in the government, you know, the economy of the government. You know, make slanders and buttons and sell mat and all of that, you know, with the brethren them who send their blessings same way within the government to run the government. So that I know my father said, you know, see it. And the man said other thing, that is a man where, you know, so independent, you know, that I never take part within no organization or no government to sustain his government. You know, the man make a way and show I and I how to manifest that fullness within, you see. Independent, don't depend on no one for anything. You know, understand? And that I never take nothing from no politician. No politician at all, the father have any dealings with. The only dealings with that I have with a politician was to agitate for him freedom for his people. Yeah, you know, his freedom for his people to go home. Away from that, that I never take anything from no government to look after his people, that I make a way and show how we must manifest ourselves as a people to sustain the government, you know, by providing foods and housing and, you know, every little thing the father show us, you know, how we can survive at the ends of the earth, but, you know, and we have to stretch our hands to no one to help manifest, to help support the government. You know, so certain things they say are going right now, that is not our father. Have nothing to do with our father. You know, see it? So, you know, and away from that, the man's spirituality, the church, you know, where the man, you know, the church again is a big part within the government. You know, the spiritual food, you know, for straighten back I and I still. So you have the spiritual and you have the governmental part, you know. You see the two of them together. You understand? So those are the things that I, you know, come and see our father set him government still, you know, and build houses and things for ones and ones, a brethren and sister, you know, that if you come through the gate and you know have anywhere there somewhere for you to rest, you know, lay your head, you understand? And food is on the table same way, you know, see it? So you can get a meal and be satisfied, you know, and give God thanks same way for the man providence. You know, because when I come to the government, you know, I come in a big family, yeah? And when the father show provide the house, I get a big house. for my family. See it. So I could live in it for 3 months or so until I build my own. You understand? So that is how the Father set the foundation, still in government, still his people. So that is just a little part. But it was the easy road when that start this camp here. And the type of government that was done here, the Labour government same way, was dread within the time. So as I said, the Father, there are times too, even when Lent come up, there was enough a tragedy go through the Lent still, as I can witness, them take the Lent, so the Lent is not an easy time in the year, see it, where all kind of things happen, I remember I stayed the 40 days and the 40 nights, then Jah was in the wilderness and he was tempted. So they use that time there within the Lent, and police and soldier come up at the yard to harass, we're brethren them. You see it? Yes, because a couple of times that happened. Them come and take the brethren them out of them gates and carry them over and throw them a ground and all kind of thing happen within Lent. Within them time, they try to persecute I and I, One I time to them come and lead them off of the foundation, get them down a police station and all of them way. There's enough things still, so easy, like how one have it now where hear them think they are going right now, but those things used to happen back into the years gone by. Every late you can see the army coming to persecute we brethren them. See, take all the sisters them out of house. When we in our journey and live with principle, then take us out and we have to go out there and so on. So there's a lot of things still, I got you still within the, the principle within the government, where police and soldier come to harass. But we give thanks still within this time, them thing they not going again, Whenever time we let know, find say no police are come harass we anymore, that yeah. So it's just I and I, they know it's to live. And when you let enough temptation go through, enough heroin and thing go through, see it. So I just I and I have to control yourself and try to be good. We know what go on when Lent come up, and what reach the Father within the Lent still. See. So, enough look at things still, but as we go on into the program still, we can always remember and talk about the things that will come back to us, But right now, that am I like saying still, give thanks again, for this platform, where we can reason one to another and talk about the history of government from when that has started, and the tragedy where the man go through to really lay the foundation, from them time until this time, we give thanks, so the doors them are still open, for ones where I and I see we ain't not close because I have enough place started after the Father in a seat, and when the head one them leave still, them organization them have mash up. You see it and the members them set asunder. You see, but we give thanks still, even though our Father is not with us, into himself of self still. The foundation is still going on and the doors are still open, and our brethren and sisters are free to come to the foundation, so we give thanks to that still, so it's still going, it's still open, we're still singing praises into the tabernacle, I still have a morning devotion, from 6, 12 and 6 again in the evening. So we give thanks to all them fulfillments that are going right now, my Lord, within the government where the Father sits still, and more histories there to come, because ones can tell it even more better than I, So give thanks, my Lord, for this moment until the next moment again. All blessing, my Lord. Blessed Lord.
Yes, I give thanks, Empress. I would like to, take this time to kind of go over the letterhead, because it really is a declaration as we are a government. When Dada wrote letters, to different heads of government, this is the first thing they would see at the top of the letter, to let them know who it is that is, speaking to them, Yeah, and this letterhead really is very significant in declaring who we are as a people, our kingdom, as you see, standing churchically and statically. You have the red, black, and green, and the red, gold, and green with the lion and Africa, and the black 5-point star. As the conquering lion shall break every chain. As you see on the left, it's the left side of the screen is a statical kind of declaration. Ethiopia Royal Nation Wealth Kingdom. That's government. And then on the right is Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress Church of Salvation. So that's the church. You see, so and accordingly, the banners on the bottom of the screen are, the statical banner, the red, black, and green is on the side where it says kingdom. And then on the side with the Church of Salvation, it's the red, gold, and green representing the church. Yeah, and so, we'll read over it and we can, stop on any points that anyone, have anything to say or, question to ask or anything like that. Just obviously raise your hand if you need to speak. And we'll just, go through. Yes, my Lord and Empress. Says the conquering lion shall break every chain. Ethiopia Royal Nation Wealth Kingdom. Ethiopia, poor people, national and international Freedom League government. Yes, Ethiopia is the continent of Africa still, not the country, what used to be called Abyssinia. This is the whole continent of Africa, Poor people being those who, the Ethiopian royal sons and daughters that's been scattered across the world, through, some through travel, but also mostly through, the transatlantic slave trade, which brought us into the West as slaves and made us poor, where we used to be rich, and they took away our wealth and took away our power, because the land is our wealth and power. And as a landless, nationless, or, not nationless, but a landless people being scattered in the West and not claiming our homeland and not having a connection to it, it makes us poor and weak, so give thanks for, the conquering lion breaking the chains of slavery, to connect us forward to Africa, Ethiopia, again, to know ourselves. The national and international Freedom League government. So it's come to free, the poor people. Yeah. Melchizedek, righteous kingdom. Melchizedek, as we spoke of, in the previous program, is Christ, which is King Emmanuel, Charles Edwards. He is Melchizedek, and he's a high priest still. And so Melchizedek, the Christ figure, the priest, ruling, the government. So his, as I was told, by an elder, I would say Honorable Priest Stewie, Priest Trevor Stewart. I asked him, a couple of strongs ago, or maybe it was last Sabbath, and still I asked him about the Constitution because I had heard that he was instrumental in writing it. He said he didn't really help write it, but it was due to the need for, in order to move as a government, it was, they needed to have a constitution. King Emmanuel said his constitution is the 10 Commandments, but what Priest Trevor told me is that he basically, the constitution that we have that's written is the 10 Commandments in the form of like legal documentation, Yeah, just to declare that the 10 Commandments really is the first law, that was given, by God unto Moses. And King Emmanuel is, the same Melchizedek, Moses, Christ. Yeah. So it's his kingdom, he's the ruler, and righteousness is, the law. Black supremacy government for the poor and have-not. You know, Black supremacy is just simply righteousness of salvation, you know, through our Black, you know, Christ, you know, salvation, you know, is order. And, you know, the poor and have-nots obviously are us, you know, the people who have been scattered and exploited by governments and politicians. You know, as King Emmanuel said in the video that Prophet Joseph said, you know, the governments don't really help and assist the people. They just really, you know, exploit us for what they can get from us to make them, their figureheads rich, you know, while the people suffer, you know. United Black Wealth Sovereign Nation. United as one, you know, Black people, Ethiopian, African sons and daughters. That's the wealth, you know, the people is the wealth of any, you know, land without people wouldn't really produce, you know, what value would it? It wouldn't value you if you don't the benefits of the land. And, you know, people without land also are weak and you know, poor. So when the land and the people are together and in righteousness, that's, you know, that leads to a real wealth and peace and joy and all of those things. Lord of hosts, the I am, you know, the Lord of hosts, the host is the army, you know, so he's the Lord of the army. The I am, you know, as Christ, the I am. Repatriation internationally, you know, we stand to land every man, woman, and child under their own vine and fig tree. You know, Ethiopia for the Ethiopians, Africa for the Africans. The fifth kingdom of Jesus stand for equality and justice for all people. That's, I mean, kind of self-explanatory still, but the fifth kingdom part, I would love if someone could really culture on what is the fifth kingdom, what does that mean, you know? And we know who Jesus is, and we know that King Emmanuel stands for equality and justice, you know, through, you know, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Charter, Articles 1 through 15, and just through righteousness, you know, yeah, equality. He came to break chain, you know, and set the captives free, wipe away transgression and rule in equity. You know? Does anyone on the program, could they share about the fifth kingdom? What is the fifth kingdom? What is
Well, the fifth kingdom still, Daniel, I mean, I might not know all, but what I know that the fifth kingdom still a Christ kingdom.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you know.
Just really.
But there are more understanding behind this still. A priest would be more better to give you a better understanding. But I know them say the fifth kingdom, you know, Jesus Christ kingdom, you know, Jesus family, you know.
Yes,
fifth kingdom.
Really just trying to get clearance on what the fifth aspect of it, like what is
right. The priest then will more give you clearance on that, but I know it's the fifth kingdom is Jesus' kingdom, my Lord.
Give thanks and praise. Prophet Carlton, your hand is up. You can unmute yourself, my Lord, and speak.
Blessed love again in the house. Give thanks once again. Holy Emmanuel, Jah Rastafari. Give thanks again, my Lord. The fifth kingdom, you know, is a prophecy from Daniel. Yeah, and Daniel, the whole book of Daniel, really. Won't really pinpoint, you know, because the book is quite long. But, you know, Daniel 2, Daniel 7, you know, even in Revelation, you know, talks about the fifth kingdom, the five kingdoms, really. So Daniel, you know, talks about the four kingdoms mainly, you know, goes through them, him being that he was in the first in King Nebuchadnezzar's time, and going up to the fourth, and he talks about fifth kingdom now, which is God's kingdom. And as the eye is talking about government also, you know, this is important in terms of talking about this kingdom is a physical kingdom. So it, you know, it has a government and it's God's government. And like the Empress states certain things there, like when she came in to the Congress, how she see it, you know, how she get things, show you, you know, revelation that this is, you know, the fifth kingdom which is set up, you know. So it's really God's government he's talking about, you know, that's prophesied from biblical aspects, you know, till, you know, Christ in this time, King Emmanuel, come and fulfill that fifth kingdom. My Lord, if that explains, you know. So the whole book of Daniel, you know, talks of, you know, the four kingdoms. It goes deep into each kingdom, you know. And what we are concentrating on is the fifth one, which, like the Empress says, is Christ's kingdom. And, you know, that is also, you know, Christ's kingdom. Christ comes and talks about that and shows you how his kingdom should be within his liberty, you know, within the prophecy, within the liberty in these times as well, my Lord. So that is, you know, another one can even further explain, you know, if I've missed something, my Lord, or even if I'm, you know, to be corrected. Love in the house.
Give thanks, my Lord, for the clearance.
Thanks, my Lord. So true.
Yes, sir. All right, I'll continue. So now on the churchical side now, Ethiopia, Africa, Black International Congress, Church of Salvation. The Sabbath to be kept holy, you know, the foundation principle of the Congress is the keeping of the Sabbath, you know. Freedom, redemption, international repatriation. Yeah, that's one of our main slogans, what King Emmanuel, you know, declared to the people. The poor people government internationally through human rights, right? As we mentioned before, the Human Rights Charter, the United Nations, that's why we fly, you know, that blue banner with the United Nations symbol on it. The poor people government is, you know, that's us, you know, we have to function as a government. Yeah, government, we'll get into really what is a government and what does government do as we go through the program still, you know, but this government is for the poor people, you know. Yeah, most of the world governments are for the rich, you know, they channel all their money to keep people rich and keep the poor people getting poorer and staying poor and never really being able to move up from their poverty still through a structured, you know, system of oppression. Black Congress, you know, that's us, the members of the Congress, you know. King of Salem, that's King Emmanuel, Melchizedek. King of Salem also translates to be King of Peace. And Jerusalem is the city of peace, the city of, you know, King Emmanuel, Melchizedek, that he created, you know, in righteousness of salvation. The people above all kingdoms stand governmental. First is the governmental, right, which is what we're here to talk about today, parliamental, churchical, and sabbatical. Formerly at 54B Spanish Town Road, now headquartered at 10 miles Bull Bay, PO, St. Andrew, Jamaica. Mission of the King, victory of good over evil. Holy Emmanuel I, Selassie I, Jah, Rastafari. So yes,
Rastafari.
So give thanks, you know, that's the letterhead, and it really is a declaration of who we are as a Congress, you know, which, as I said, that's what he send out to heads of government. So the first thing they see, you know, when they read anything from King Emmanuel is this, you know, declaration of such righteous, you know, fifth kingdom, declaring, you know, King Emmanuel, Charles Edwards as Melchizedek, the Black Christ in flesh, you know, and us as his government, you know. Yes, so now we have Honorable Priest Dougie on the line. My Lord, if you could unmute, I would like for you to, you know, share with us some of the history of King Emmanuel's movements and, you know, as far as the government and establishing this Congress, you know, from you know, the beginning and even before, all the way up until, you know, present day. You know, my Lord. Priest Dougie.
Yes, my Lord. Thanks. Blessings to all on this day. Near and far. Bobo Shanti family. Yeah, I give thanks to the privilege to read the reason behind them once again. Yeah, as we're discussing government, first of all, the first organization or the first settings that the father founded was called the Coptic Theocratic Temple. If ones don't know this, this predated the African National Congress, which transcended into the African National Congress, and that also transcended into the Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress. The father has always sought a way to give the people a voice, and the only way people can have a voice is to have some form of structure, governance. So leading up to the 1958 Groundation, which was the first united groundation amongst Rastafari, in the first official Nayabing gathering amongst the Rastafari family. Because prior to 1958, the doctrine and the ideology was morphing from Garveyism into Rastafari. Many of the founding fathers, they were either revival preachers or they were Garveyites. So it evolved from that into the King of Kings movement. Before I and I started to hail it as Rastafari, it was a King of Kings doctrine that was preached by people like Leonard Howell and Hines and Dunkley, those founding fathers, Hibbert and them. And now the 1958 Groundation, before we even get into that, the reason why the father was the one that hosted that Groundation was the heights of where I and I father was. Ones and one saw the divinity within our father. Whether them wanted, whether them come fight afterwards or whatever happened after, during that period when you had Bakawal, Akiwak, and Nazareth, was because they acknowledged the divinity within, at the time, Prince Emmanuel, Charles Edwards. Now, the reason why it was hailed as Nazareth, because there is where the dreadlocks visage was concretized. It became a standard that a Rasta man was a dreadlocks man and a Rasta woman was a dreadlocks woman. At Nazareth, that out of that same 1958 convention. Okay, that was when all the races, all the different groups of races, because you didn't have groups back then. The groups came after the destruction of Bakawal. Seeing when man was scattered and every man just go to his zone and him rides a camp and name him camp. See? So coming out of the 58th convention, Groundation convention, the dreadlocks visage became the standard image for Rastafari. See? And that was directly through our father. You understand? Because he acknowledged and accepted that as his way of life from early out. See, it was between him and who we know today as Bona G's or Bongo Watto with the Youth Black Faith movement. And as one can research and find out, in the early days of the movement, Rastafari traveled from camp to camp and engaged each other in reasoning. Those were the branches of University of the Hard Knocks, University of Adversity. Let's see, those camp yard meetings. So man and man used to chat from Trenchtown, Firehouse, east out of east by Warwicker, the inner city Bakawal. So man and man used to meet up and reason and discuss and decode the Bible, and find I message in the Bible that they brought to the community. So the 1958, now returning to the 1958 convention, now our father called a convention. He invited a virgin named Claudius Henry to co-host the convention with him. That was a symbolic move too, in of itself, because it's kind of two different brethren cut from two different cloth in that sense, because Claudius Henry was more a revolutionary type person, you know, because at one point in the history, you'll see where he and his sons got entangled with the government, you know, because they were amassing weapons and certain things. They wanted to take Jamaica by force, you know, while our father understood that we couldn't win with the gun, because them invent the gun, them have all the resources to arm them people, you know. We were poor people, so we couldn't win a battle like that. So the father took the hymn book and the Bible as the way. See, so coming out of that convention, it was 21 days. It was called for whole heap of reasoning. Man and man come from all over. Them says the first them see so much races, you know, and knew that so much races existed, because it is written that the gleaner said that over 3,000 were gathered to discuss, you know, Rastafari business. And the reason for the father calling that convention was the oppression that I and I was under. The government was trying to eradicate and exterminate I and I with extreme prejudice. You know, from the guy Bustamante say, you know, wherever one or two Rasta gather, they must call and report it. And, you know, if the jailhouse can't hold way, then at the cemetery. So I'm declared open season for Rastafari. So it was under some heavy pressure. See, you had some brethren that went to the University of the West Indies and engaged them to come to Bakawal, come to West and see what was going on, you know, for themselves, and see, say, you know, the government was oppressing the people, you know, and using force. So now, out of the 1958 convention, man and man organized themselves. The father saw it fit to form a Congress as a voice for the people. Others did their thing, you know, that's out of that now you have the theocratic order, the assembly, what them call today the Bingi House, the Naya Bingi House. 12 tribes came a little later down in the 60s, you know, and other offshoots rose up after the destruction of Bakawa. Now, Claudius Henry, being who he was, you know, had his way that he wanted to see I and I approach the thing. That is how at the end of the convention, the man them out, they took a vote and decided to move the last days down to the park. And as they had them heard the story before, the father was the one put on trial at that park, where he was pounced upon by the authorities and brutally beat. And out of that came that talk that you hear the brethren on that video last week, Jaboni, talking about someone died and we had them in the camp for days, and saying that he was gonna rise, and you know, all of that scandal that came out of that. And a lot of them thought that the father died back then. A lot of them you can't tell him say it was the same King Emmanuel sit down on the hill, because we have heard that said many times that is a different Prince Emmanuel sat up on Bobo Hill, because the original man was killed. No, the same man. Man who know him from Bakawal knows the same man. See, the reason now for the Congress coming into being, like we said, is to give a voice to the people. See, and so the father became an agitator for right and justice for the poor and the have-nots. He chose the path of communication versus violence. You know, like them said, the pen is mightier than the sword. Well, he has proved that. He proved that the pen was definitely mightier than the sword, because his approach, he was able to engage the people them that had our rights. You understand? And he was constantly in their face. He was a familiar name to them. The Queen of England can't say she don't know who's Prince Manuel or King Manuel. Because he sent many letters to the Governor General, to the Prime Minister, to different ministries that was accountable for the people development, you know, whether it was Ministry of Health, Ministry of Housing and all of them, those ministries that directly dealt with the people's needs. So he chose the pen. He wrote to the United Nations. He wrote to, as a matter of fact, he invited Amnesty International, which is a human rights group, to Jamaica to come investigate the Jamaica government actions because they were violating people's human rights openly. And the father invited them and they came and they investigated the prison system among other areas of the society and found them lacking, found them in violation of people's human rights. So they had a presence now and started to engage the government on our I&I behalf, you know, and that was directly because of our father's intervention. See, so those were the kind of approaches that King Emmanuel took towards governance. He also, in dealing with United Nations, you know, the ambassador named Utah, he came and visited the camp more than once. And in his, what you'd say now, his assessment of Bobo Hill and Prince Emmanuel's government, he's, in his written statement, he said that the highest form of human rights that he has seen in Jamaica being practiced, he has seen up on Bobo Hill there. You know, because we acknowledged the God in everyone. Anyone that come through that gate, no matter even them complexion or them ethnicity or what, we dealt with them uprightly and we acknowledged the God in everyone. See, and we were taught by our father to treat the guests that visited the camp royally. So when a guest came, if he was spending overnight and there was no room in the regular guest house, one would relinquish their place of abode and give that guest. You understand? And the guests would be treated royal. That means if it's one slice of bread left in the kitchen, we would make the guests have that. You understand? So the father taught us that altruistic Christ way, you know, to be selfless and make sacrifices on behalf of humanity. See? So that's where the divine government come in, you know, the theocratic government, where we don't separate the church and the state. You know, the church and the government, our government have to be guided by moral people with ethics, you know, not just some like them out in a Babylon, vote for the lesser evil. No, we don't vote for no evil at all. Our government is run by people of the highest level of morality. See, that is what our father taught us. See, and the people were always the focal point. The Bobo Shanti Congress was not set up to minister to Bobo Shanti or to Rastafari, you know. It's to African people, you know, because I remember when some of our brothers in South Africa were trapped in one of them mine down there, whether it was gold, diamond, whatever type of mine. But there were some ones trapped in a mine down there. I distinctly remember. I was very young back then with the father, but I never forgot this. You know, they were trapped in the mine and the father was very upset. For days, the father was spitting fire. And during that time, he called for fire to be lit. You know, what we call the fire key. A fire key to be lit at every corner of the camp and keep burning. And he called for Nyabinghi to be chanted. And he said that not 1 minute must the drums stop beating until the end of that 21 day that he had called for. So round the clock, I chanted day and night, day and night, day and night, straight through. Nyabingi chanted. Not service now, you know. We're not talking about service. We're talking about just the drum sound, you know, creating that energy, that vibration that we say start the earth. You understand? And send that vibration to the heart of Vatican, to the heart of the White House, to the heart of Buckingham Palace. Wherever the Father directed it, wherever his anger was directed, you know, that vibration went, you know. And, you know, he wrote letters about it. He agitated, you know, for the end of that oppression that was going on in South Africa at the time, what we came to know as the apartheid, which I call the apartheid, you know, system that we end up toppling. And the world knows that is partly true. Rastafari, anti-apartheid stand, led by our father, King Emmanuel, that helped bring down that system. You know, them say the poor man saved the city, you know, and no one take it to heart, no one give account. Well, that's the poor man we were talking about. Him save the city, you know. Him save humanity through him sacrifice, that humanity could have grace, you know, extended time to get it right. So the foundation of the Congress came out of that 1958 Foundation Convention among all races. Like I said, that is how the Dreadlocks Army, you know, came into being, you know, rose up out of Nazareth there and became the standard that now it's a global movement, you know. And as we go on, we can break down the components of the government, you know, as it evolved. You know, I don't want to be too long-winded. I want to give ones a chance to ask specific questions, and I and others who is on the thread can attempt to unpack the questions, you know, give forward some clarity, you know. So that is my opening contribution. Bless.
Give thanks, Jadogi. Thanks, Bobo.
Yes, I give thanks, my Lord. You know, the floor is open.
Majesty, glorify my Lord.
Give thanks, Mama. Give thanks
Yes,
continuously, you know. Blessing.
Blessed love.
Yes, I. Melchizedek's righteous kingdom, Melchizedek's righteous government. The floor is open.
Yeah, my Lord, can I say something there, Bobo?
Of course, Empress. Yes, I.
Oh, give thanks. Thanks again, my Lord, for another opportunity here. No, my Lord, to show you the powers of King Emmanuel and how great that man is. That man do things where no other one couldn't do. No, Bobo, take for instance, the man has 7 flags, eh? The man has 7 flags and don't even hoist the national flag. Any country that you are, will hoist flag, 7 flag, and doesn't hoist their banner. A serious thing, you know. Then can be charging for what? Treason. But King Emmanuel, our divine father, hoist 7 flag up on the mountain there. And no Jamaica flag not included in that. Yeah? Who could have done that? But the Almighty himself. In 1982, when we have a convention day, it was flag raising, right? When Dada, who dropped the X flag, drop the X flag around there. Yes. And rise in our kingdom there. Yeah? Who could have done that but Dada himself? Great the I am, the I am. Holy Emmanuel I, Selassie I, Jah. Rastafari. Enough great things go through, man. Enough history go through, man. You know, but as you see, I come to you bit by bit and you're sharing it. Right? But no one in a Jamaica, any little where you see any flag rise, a Jamaica flag have to be there. If I even up on a little building and them hoist them flag, a Jamaica flag have to be there. But up on Mount Teman Hill, yeah, up on Bobo Shanti there, up on the Waraka Hill there where I and I sit. 7 flag rise up there. The red, black, and green, the red, gold, and green, you know, Nigeria flag there, United Nation, the 5 pint, the Black House of Israel, and the 7 pint. And no Jamaica flag, not the right there, not included right there into those right flag we're up there right now. So we give thanks to the powers of His Majesty, Most High, Selassie, Jah, Rastafari, my Lord.
And Mama, I love that. That's a good addition to the conversation. Love that way you bring up, because that's another lesson that, you know, the young ones need to learn, because it's not just in Jamaica. Any country that you are in and you're going to fly a flag, you have to fly that country's flag along with yours. See? So as Rastafari, we are the only ones that throughout the earth fly I emblems, you know, whether it is the red, black, and green with the red, gold, and green, in whichever manner them flight. But it's I alone, you know, take that liberty and no one can do nothing about it. And like Mama said, it started with I Father. You understand? Where he broke them principles, you know, see, and never fly a X flag. And that's a very significant move. It like Mama said, it is considered treasonous, because that's why in the early days, a lot of the founding fathers were charged for sedition, because they didn't fly the Queen's flag and they spoke out against the crown. Give thanks.
My Lord.
Yes, my Lord and Empress, give thanks. Brother Prophet Joseph, your hand is up, my Lord. Unmute.
My Lord and Empress, yes, give thanks for the testimony, my Lord, from Priest Doggy and Empress Macy. I really love that, my Lord, and give thanks for such mighty angels still holding the fort and holding the banner of our Father. Yes, give thanks for this government, my Lord and Empress, you know, for the red, gold, and green, and the red, black, and green, such kingdom for a nation of angels and archangels, you know, people, God people. So give thanks for these banners, my Lord, with the red, gold, and green, red, black, and green, the black 5-point star, the R, the crown, and the lion. And give thanks for the movements of our Father really rising these banners, as the Empress as the Empress is saying. It is, yeah, like embassies all around the world, they would always like raise the banner of the country they represent and the country they are in. But our Father, and I see it is because really the Congress itself, well, from what I've studied, I see the Congress establishment really comes before Jamaica ever get their independence, right? Like it was, I see Jamaica's independence was like in the 60s, and the Congress was established from the 58. So I would also love to ask Priest Doggy or Empress Macy how the item saw, or how the item know, like really about the banners, how they were established, if the Father always came with the 7 banners, or if he started with, because I've seen pictures like in the tabernacle where it's just like the red, gold, and green, and the red, black, and green banner over the altar.
Mm-hmm. Well, my understanding still, my understanding, my Lord, that Father start off with the red, black, and green, and the red, gold, and green, you know, and as years go by, him do the addition. Well, I think Priest Doggy still will be more honorable to give more clearance on that, because I came still and saw the red, black, and green, the red, gold, and green, the Nigeria flag, the United Nations, you know, and the 5-point star. And after there for a while now, the House of Israel flag, you know, come in, and the 7-point. So Priest Doug a little bit more, you know, me as he was there, you know, long before I would give a more clearance how the flag, how he started off with the flag. I know he started off with the red, black, and green, and the red, gold, and green. You know,
You're
as
right,
I
Mama.
said. Yeah.
You're totally right, Mama. You're totally right. He started off just like the rest of the movement. Remember, and we have to bear this in mind. The Rastafari movement started off as one family. It just splintered after a while, and ego and whatever, you know, we get infiltrated, we get infused with the Willie Lynchism and all of those things that separate us up. But it started as one movement, and that is how it started with you know, the red, gold, and green, and the red, black, and green banner. Now, I was told a story by the father. I don't remember who else was there. More than likely, I think Priest Jackai was there as well, about an incident that took place at the camp where, in Bakawal, where brethren and brethren were flying the flag of Ethiopia as it existed then, which is the imperial flag with the, you know, because we have to remember Ethiopia from the Battle of Adwa was in war stance. And when you are in war stance, that flag reflects the what you say now, the position that you are in now. You understand? The country is in a war mode. So because it's in war mode, the banner was reflecting that. Now, what I mean by that, the banner that we see there, there's a history. They have a book that is written on the history of the Ethiopian flag. And the Ethiopian flag originally began as 3 separate, what them call, pennants, 3 different colors making up the one flag, 3 different flags making up the one banner, is what I'm trying to say. You had the red standing by itself, the gold, the green. And within its evolution, they joined the 3 of them together to make one. And then they put the symbol of the lion, the conquering lion, in it to symbolize, you know, the throne, the tribe of David, the Solomonic dynasty, which His Imperial Majesty is a part of, you know. So from Menelik time, that was done. But during Menelik time is when the war, you know, the aggression of Italy started against Sinai. See, so the country went into war mode, and the flag reflected that with the turn down banner. Now, the reason why our father rose the turn up red is because that banner represents, first of all, the rainbow. Secondly, in the history of Ethiopia and the continent of Ethiopia, not the continent of Africa as it has become known, but predating that, when it was known as the continent of Ethiopia. See, it represented the rainbow with the red on top, represented the church triumphant. So the father decided to maintain that flag as his emblem versus the rest of the races, them who chose to carry the flag that them see His Majesty fly under, you know, which is the Ethiopian imperial flag. See? So just to give you a little history of that whole flag thing, because over the years, there has been animosity between groups because of flag and them thing there. Because Bobo remained with the turn up red, and all the others carry that turn down red. And our father was adamant about it, that you couldn't even enter the Congress, you couldn't come under our arch there, that arch with a turn down banner. See, because, you know, we didn't deal with the death aspect of the philosophy. You know, we were promoting the church being triumphant. That meaning that the divine energy of the Almighty is what we embraced. And our father was the one that understood this. That's why they followed him, you know. That's why he was called the shepherd of the movement, because he understood divine things in a way that most others didn't. You know, it's nothing supernatural about this thing, you know. It's just what it was. Jah, each of I and I is called for a purpose. And during that time, our father was brought to I and I through the almighty energy with all the knowledge that he needed to possess, to rise the kingdom. And he did. Now, those 7 flags that he rose, enough ones didn't understand the symbolism of them, but each of them was put there for a reason. You know, the Black Star flag represents Ghana, you know, the first free state, the gateway, as the father called it. The Nigerian flag, Nigeria was the second most powerful state in Africa, you know, and as such, you know, we also had a presence there. Our name, you know, Bobo, comes from the Nigeria region. The Ashanti comes from the Ghana region. You understand? So you can see even the link up, you know, with how our father, you know, organized his banners. You know, there's a historical connection to them. It was not just a frivolous move, you know. If we research even most of our ceremonies, the things that we do, lying on our stomach and facing the east when we pray at midday, all of those practices have a historical foundation. See, they came out of the ancient African spiritual, what them call that, great African spiritual, which existed, institutionalized religion as we come know it today. That means our practices predated what is known today as Christianity, Judaism, and Muslim. The Ethiopian dynasty and the Egyptian dynasty existed long before Europe was civilized, before, you know, the white men evolved out of the Caucasus Mountain. I and I traditions are the oldest, you know, I and I practices are the oldest within human development. See? And if we research, like I said, all that we do, why we turn to the east, why we do all of these little things that we do. And as a house of priests, we need to learn these things. We need to have the history of why we do what we do, you know?
True.
I know we have this thing about blind faith, but that's not how blind faith works. It's not about that. See, knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. You know, following in blind faith, people have this thing, you know, you don't question, like you don't. No, you must know why you live, why you do certain things, why your liberty is what it is. You're supposed to know. If you ask Dada, him can tell you. And so as a father, so is a son. If you ask Dada, him can tell you why you do these things, you know. So I and I, as the house of priest, you're supposed to can ask any priest and him tell you why we do what we do. You understand? So we can pass on that knowledge to the younger generation, that they understand the value of what we do. And it's not just something, not just a ritual, not just something that you just do because it is being done or because you come see it being done. There's a purpose to what we do. When that I call fasting outside of the time of Lent, him usually call it for a purpose. That means you're fasting for a reason. United, the house is fasting. Whether we're fasting because, you know, something took place and the father think that that moment of unity, you know, and sacrifice will bring power to our people facing certain, you know, things in life, whether it is certain oppression that is going on the continent of Africa, or whether it is right here in Jamaica or wherever. When certain things go down, the Father would call for certain fasts. And him call it with a reason behind it, with a purpose. And him tell you during the fast, so you must fast with this meditation. You understand? And when we fast as a house with that one meditation, it brings a power. It creates an energy that is a power that remove the evil that we are fasting against. You understand? It weakens it and it destroys. So, there's purpose to what we do is what I'm saying. And reasoning like this is very important for us to share those information, those who know. And a lot of us, a lot of our elders, a lot of my brethren who I rise up with there in camp have passed on, and only few are still here walking among us, So it is important for them as younger ones to find the feet of the elders and learn them experience and them knowledge, so Don't just think say you can Google it. Google will give you definitions that don't define anything. A lot of people learning them Rasta off of Google. See, when Rastafari is an inborn concept. What that mean? Jah finna you, Jah touch you, and put that pearl in you, touch you from the mother's womb. It no matter when you ras up and hold the other, him touch you from your mother's womb. Him know say from you in the womb, a female on that. That one is his own. See?
So true.
Yeah, man. So yeah, again, make we reason. Ones who have them on up. Daniel, you can do your part. Take over.
Quite so.
Blessed love, my Lord. Give thanks for saying that, Priest Dougie. I learned a lot from you. I just had a question in terms of the term Bobo. You're saying that the term Bobo comes from Nigeria, so it doesn't come from Mali.
Now, you might have a similar name in Mali, but originally, that is what I was taught. There is a great tribe out of that area of Nigeria that is known today more, it's a split away, like it's called Benin more than it is called Nigeria. But that same little region there is where the tribe of Bobo rise up and come from. And if you hear, the father kind of gave a little short version of it in one of his live speeches when they asked him about the name, and him was saying, how it come about, yeah. So it's that region where the Bobo tribe come from. There might be a word and a group in Mali that has the same name, and if we check it out, it might even be a branch of the same people, But like I said, it's that region that I know that name is made famous from.
Natural. Well, give thanks. Much appreciated. Appreciate love. Excuse me. Much appreciate love. Sorry.
Give thanks, Empress Sandy. Blessed love, Empress. Prophet Corey, you got your hand up, my Lord. You can unmute yourself.
Yes, I, blessed love, give thanks for life and the life giver. Selassie, Jah.
Rastafari.
Give thanks, Honorable Priest Dougie, for the clearance and for all the good knowledge this morning. Well, really is a joy. It just made me think of one thing. I was in Mali, and I know in the Mali they have, next door to Mali, they have the country Burkina Faso, and there they have a town called Bobo Dioulasso. And I don't know really all of the clearance on that. I'll have to ask what the name, the significance of that is, because I don't think the people there call themselves Bobo, but I just wanted to add that also in Burkina Faso, there is that town called Bobo Dioulasso. My Lord, give thanks.
Yes, Prophet Corey, give thanks, my Lord. We just, recently had a program with Honorable Priest Alonzo reasoning about the actual, the same topic, and he was saying that it's generally used in that whole region, you know, in West Africa there. Not all of West Africa, but in that particular, I mean, Nigeria, Ghana, Benin, you know, Burkina Faso, they're all right there in the same area. So certain peoples would be in every country, you know, certain tribes or whatever. And even like there would be similarities in culture, you know, words that might, you know, be used interchangeably, you know, and things like that. So I don't think what anybody's saying is really wrong. It's just, you know, all right, but different. Maybe where King Emmanuel might have got the idea from or heard the word, or I don't know. If he just, Priest Dougie, do you know?
Like to speak, Bobo.
No, Dada never come up with the word. No. Dada is live talking, you know. Dada is live on tape telling you that it was given to I and I by the African. The African who called I and I such when them say I and I because of the demeanor how I and I look. That's why even when the Gospel Bell First Mission went to Africa to lay the foundation for the camp them there, man like Priest Chewy, who was on that mission, can tell you, Priest Campbell and others, that they met ones there who said they knew about the turban man from the West that was to come home. You understand? That they were keepers of lands, what you would have called repatriation lands, being kept to be handed over to people that look like I and I. So their elders had told them of a people that was to come home from the West, that held I and I demeanor, that had I and I persona. See, none of this is fabulistic. And not what Dada do wasn't by happenstance, you know. It was thought out. It was interaction, linking with ones from Africa, communicating. Dada got letters from different ones. Dada did his research. Dada had his knowledge of what he was doing. That's why I'm set up the Congress the way I'm set up the Congress. You understand? Because it was a bit of Africa in Jamaica. Anyone that came from Africa and visited the Congress always said how them feel at home because it reminded them of some aspect of Africa. See? So our father knew exactly how he was structuring this thing, and it wasn't by happenstance. So yeah, man, I give thanks for all the contribution because none of the information is wrong. You know, it's just that there's an etymology of the word and an origin, you know, a place where the word itself originated, you know. And if it's a people, if it's a tribe, like I say, that tribe in that region, as the brethren say, they would scatter, they would, you know, they are in many areas, just like how you go throughout the world right now, you find so-called Africans who call themselves Jamaican in different places. You will go, no matter where you go, you're going to find a Jamaican right now, a so-called African who call himself Jamaican or herself. See, it's the same way at that time. In Africa, we were sojourners. So we are trod through and we were trying to find fertile places to establish ourselves. So we tried and find those fertile places and, you know, become a village, become a community, and so forth. Give thanks.
My Lord.
Like to speak?
Yes, go through, Empress.
Yes. I give thanks again, my Lord, for all, you know. Yeah. So, my Lord, we are talking about a government, right? You know, and all of that. So let's touch there. All right, the financial part of the government, right? Because that is a big part, you know, and how that are keeping government running, you know, financially, you know, see it, and the things that the man do, you know, yeah, like the man build houses, you know, within them time, build universal kitchen. I mean, you know, everything the man built within such time. But how did he do that? You know, how did the father manifest all of that? Just set a foundation. With people like sometime when I went there, the foundation, you'd have it. Well, I can remember you have like 70 brethren, and with children and empress would have got like 50. So if you check that, 7 and 5 is 12, like it's 120. You know, people would be on the foundation, and then you'll be have visitors who will come in, spend some time and leave. So from time to time. Now, how do our Father manifest such fullness, to keep his government running, food on the table, and in the meanwhile, he is getting out book, and he is doing other things within the government, what that costs you have to spend, you have to have finance to have a camp, to feed the people, to build houses for them, to provide for them, and everything you have to provide for them. So the basic, right, strength of the government was the broom. The broom was was a bigger part of the finance coming in. The brethren them, we have broom field, and the brethren them would get on the broom field, and make broom, especially Saturday night after service, that big massive, gathering, where you have empress and brethren, brethren nail is making the broom, and the sisters them would be scraping the stick and singing and having a good time while the kitchen running and all of that. See, so the broom was the standard of the finance. And then you have, on the side, you'll have buttons will be selling, and slanders and other stuff. And then you have the beloved brothers, them who are outside, would send in their 1/10 to the Father. Now, when them sending the 1/10 to the Father would use that strength that the brothers them sending him and sisters sending him to him to do the governmental part of the work, Yeah, to do the governmental part of the work, while the broom would take care of the food, and the other stuff that one needed within a government, to straighten back, I think so. So we would have to discuss now, how that manifest such fullness to feed so much people, and to have other things doing, it wasn't easy, but our Father have done it. Yeah, and I used to say, this is the only foundation in the world. There's no other foundation like this one where you can come to the gate and if you was so hungry, you'll be fed, and if you don't have a resting place, you could get a resting place, my Lord. And if you come with the one suit, you would get changes of clothes, and all of that. I don't see anywhere else have that facility, but I like the Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress, and the great work that our Father, and I, because it's not our Father alone, it was I too, doing the work with the Father. Now, as Priest Dougie say, the Father would spiritually would call for a fasting or a bingi. I did it already, and just call for ceaseless service. Service doesn't come down. Man relief, man. From morning till night and from night till morning. Yeah, ceaseless. Now bingi going through. And it is a reason why our Father called ceaseless service. So the man says, time for us to go home now. Yeah. And whatever you do it with a purpose, as the honorable priest would say, and I see we have their service. Yeah. Service never empty. And the kitchen never empty in a seat. So our Father have done so much great work, but I can testify of the man work. The Father not just talk alone, the Father walk, and show the whole world that him is the King of Kings and the Lords of Lords. You know, him is the greatest of all. You understand? Yes, he is. Definitely.
I love that, Mama. You know, I'm sorry, but I have to interject yes again because Mama bring up another key point. You bring up another key point, Mama, because herein lies where that's why it is not a family heritage where, you know, Dada pass and him pass it on to his children. Because we are all his children. Is the congregation that maintain the camp, is the congregation that build the camp, is that 10 part that Mama talk about, that one sending.
Give thanks to midday guidance, my Lord and Empress.
Give thanks, my Lord. Yeah, man, it's that 10 part that maintain the camp. So for a son or a family member to come now and say that it is their heritage and they have sole authority to make decisions and to change things and whatever. No, it don't work that way. You understand? It's I and I, the congregation, the father's followers that build that camp. You know how much bridging, when I came to camp in that early 70s, that I had just recently moved to Bobo Hill. And it was not developed yet. It was just a desert, pure roast pork, maca and cactus. And a whole heap of I and I get afflictions from them thing there. You understand? When one of them roast pork maca stick you, sometimes I see some man, them hands swell twice the size it normally is. Seeing, I say man can't walk because it stick them in them knee and them knees swell. And it's a whole heap of work I and I do to carve out that city on the hill that cannot be hid. You understand? So it is not that type of legacy. You understand? And that a teacher and I, that the camp, the Congress is the people's. And what I will leave you with that discussion right now is that to prove it, when we had the truck and the truck usually go to a road, I was there a couple of times when ones come complain to the father, say, them see the truck and I found on the truck, forget a ride and thing. And the truck man just pass them and don't stop. And I see the father send for the driver until the driver in front of I and I, in front of the congregation, that is the people's truck. Even though it's Bobo truck in it, painting I and I 7 colors and everything, you know. But it's the people's truck because the people's Congress is the people's government. See, that is what the EABIC is, you know, is the people's government. It's a government within a government. I and I don't represent the elite and the status quo. I and I represent the disenfranchised and the oppressed. You understand? Those that have no voice. That I say, give him all of those where them reject, where them have in a prison. Him say, open the prison doors and give him everyone. That is what our father came to establish. Freedom for all, equality and justice for all. Not just for the status quo and the elite. See? So it's the people's government, my lord, you know. I just needed to interject that because, Mama, that's a valid point. It's the 10 part, and it's the brethren and sisters who made the craft. It is I and I who went on those Broomfield as service come down Saturday evening. I and I hit the Broomfield because we know say, yeah, the storehouse light this week. So we need to full up the storehouse. Seeing straw goodly needed because straw go down and we need straw to make the broom them. We need straw to make whatever else we make with straw because them time they'd have some soldier come in. Priest Timo them and Bubbles and them man who were basket makers. They made some classic baskets and things out of basket, out of straw. So we use up a lot of straw. We made mats out of straw. See, and so more time the straw house get light, you know, the storeroom get light. So we have to go hustle and bring in funds to go buy a load of straw, chuck in a load of straw from wherever. Seeing, it is I and I, the people that did that. Seeing, it's the ones them from about universally from US, Canada, England, different islands that sending them 10 part that made the government what the government was, we were able to keep the printing house going, making our pamphlets and putting out our pamphlets. You understand? We were able to establish a radar room where we had a two-way radar there, where we had this big antenna that the man put up, where we could link at all 1 o'clock at night, and I would be inside there. I am Priest Turks and others, having a conversation with somebody in a Sweden or in a Germany somewhere, in a France somewhere. Those things were made possible through the 10 part that once sent in. You know, the father had money that he could send delegations and moves that were needed. You understand? So,
Yeah, my Lord.
yeah, man.
Yes.
Great point, Mama.
One moment.
Yes.
Hold on.
Give thanks. My Lord,
I pray thee
please.
in praise. Pray thee.
Pardon me?
Yeah, I pray thee. I was going to say something.
I would just like to finish my conversation. Just one more point before, Honorable.
All right, go through.
Okay, give thanks. Yes, I have another little history here, you know, to show you the great, that I didn't, and I like, it was no son or no family business, you know. It was for 140 and 4,000, the man stand for. Now, the father used to write Prime Minister Hugh Shearer, you know, on his Freedom Redemption International Repatriation, you know, 7 miles or 9 miles of black or white ship seaway. So one of the times still, the Prime Minister write back the father and tell him that, well, you know, him offer him that a ship. Yeah. If you tell us, say, it's not something, you know, it's a universal, you know, seat for the Black House of Israelite, you know, seat, 140 and 4,000. You know, and the Prime Minister offer him, so well, then he could provide King Emmanuel, you know, with a ship for him and his family, you know. And that I turned right him back and said, no, it is for 140 and 4,000 elect saints. Not no family thing.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, not no family.
Yes,
so
sir.
that I was say, well, then when he gonna leave the foundation for his sons and grandchildren. You know, that proved that the man is not so. You understand? The man turned it down and said, no, it's not no look one ship with no family thing. I said, man, 9 miles, I want a ship. Am I different for him children, them to take them back home? So we can see where our father, you know, stood at that time until this time. So it was no monarchy business, like what people want to turn God government in a monarchy. You know, no will, no left. Yeah, because it's 140 and 4,000 elect saints that was agitating for. Yeah, freedom, redemption, and international repatriation. My Lord, I'm impressed.
Rastafari.
Good to power.
Give thanks, Honorable. Yes, I just wanted to, you know, kind of bring it forward to the history now, the development of the Congress from the 1958 Foundation Convention. Because, like, all right, from what I understand, it had a one name at that time that's not the same name as it is now. Priest Dougie or anyone, do you know what the first name of the Congress was and how the name of the Congress, you know, grew over time to become what it is now?
Well, it's a natural process. African National Congress was the first name. You know, 3 words, African National Congress. Now, that time it represented the local body. It represented the local body of governance, you know. It have to start somewhere, just like everything has to start somewhere. That is where it started. And then it grew, and as it grew, and it became an international Congress, when I say that, people from all over now start to gravitate towards the liberty. You know, at one point when you look in camp, you know, you could find brethren from as far as Africa in those early days. You know, you had, you know, Priest Zebi, who came from Ghana. See, you had other visitors over the years that came from Ghana and spent came from different places in Africa and spent a time on the hill. before treading on. See? But at one point when you look, you find every island had brethren there. You could find brethren from Trinidad, from St. Croix, from Bahamas, from different regions of the Caribbean right there on the hill. So it took on an international scope.
What time we talking, my lord?
This was in the 70s, you know.
So it was the ANC all the way up until the 70s?
Till the early part of the 70s, when the father added that 75, 7, right in that era when, you know, it became Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress.
So it went from ANC to EABIC?
Yes, I.
All right.
Because it took on, like I said, it took on international membership, you know, ones coming from different regions. So it was no longer just a national congress. It represented those people too. You understand? That means Jah had to expand the scope for it to encompass them. And that is what he did. So ones now could take their pamphlets, take whatever it was, and go to their country and agitate for them right in the same way that we were doing on the hill. And that is how branches became established.
Rastafari. Give thanks, my lord. And then the COS part came in at some point as well, yes?
Yes, the true Divine Church of Salvation came in, you know, along the way as well, during the same period, but you know, right in that same period of time. Because we have always been a divine people, we always had our tabernacle, you understand? Like we said, we don't separate church and state. But then Jah defined it. He added the name on to define it and make the world know. So it's a congress and a church. It's not just a congress now. Because the name, your name defines your function, you know. So if it's just Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress, that means it's just the government and it just functioning within that governmental aspect. But like the principles say, we are a governmental, churchical, statical, sabbatical, you know, movement. We cover all areas of human development, then our African development, not just one, because the people of our people coming out of slavery need everything. We don't have anything that we fully control. So the Congress is set up now to help facilitate that, you know, to get back the people's rights from wherever they are. You know, so the father, like we said before, he functioned that way. So as it took on that international membership, it took on that international scope, where we now started to interface with international organizations as well. We started to write, like we say, Amnesty International and, you know, groups like that, you know, to voice, you know, our wars and demand our justice.
Okay, give thanks, my lord. Yes, so, you know, that's the name and the development, you know, it shows even the growth of, like how you said, the membership from being, at one point it was only people who were living in Jamaica, you know, or, you know, born in Jamaica, but then eventually people from all over different islands and different countries became members of the Congress. So the name grew with the membership and also to encompass the church. But I wanted to share a little something about the purpose of government, you know, because King Emmanuel didn't just do this because he woke up one day and felt like doing it. He realized that there was problems that society had that wasn't being solved, especially for his people, you know, Black people, the poor and have-nots. And so he decided to take things into his own hands and, you know, create a government so that the people, you know, could have their needs met as well, and not just the high society, upper class people, you know. So yeah, I Googled, you know, what is the purpose of government? And this is just a few things that came up, you know, and we could even, you know, understand what it is that this EABIC is supposed to really, you know, do as its governmental function. Number one, it says to form a more perfect union amongst its people, you know, And, we could see that in King Emmanuel's #1 message, to the people is to love you one another, love yourself and love others, recognize Christ in each other, we bow and greet each other, we only upright words one to another, those type of things. So, he did set principles to help us form a better union, a more peaceful society, a more civilized way of living than what we see out in the world, how people treat each other, that's on a basic individual man to man or man to woman, woman to woman, relations. That's the foundation, the building block of your society. If the people are not, treating each other well, then you're not going to have peace in your society. So he knew this. So he set principles to, guarantee that there's peace, and anyone caught, say like when it comes to reasoning, he said, reason upon the 10 commandments, any loose reasoning, if you hear it, you're supposed to report who and where it's coming from. And the ones, found, guilty of such reasoning supposed to leave the hill, so it's not any old kind of talk and not any old kind of behavior within, Melchizedek righteous kingdom, Yes, I.
So can I say something more even on that?
Yes, I, for sure.
Yes, give thanks. No, Bobo, when I came to the foundation, it was quite a few, a daughter of Velo, quite a few numbers of sisters was there, And woman has always have a little dispute with them one another and a little tail bearing and thing. Because when I come, there was no principle like that was at the gate, reading in the morning. It's after incident and thing happen, you find out, say, and little by little, Jah after bit, Jah write the principle, and start to let it read a morning time to remind the members, how the government is run and the principle, of him government and things that him doesn't want in there. He doesn't want any confusion. He doesn't want any tail bearing. He doesn't want any backbiting. He wants peace and love and harmony within the Congress. So the principle that is read every morning, written up by the Father, is to remind the brothers and sisters of the Congress how we should live, within the 10 commandments and all of that. You understand what the man doesn't want in there, and for the visitors, them who are coming into, you see, so them to hear the principle of the foundation, seeing. Yeah, so that's why the principle go down there, every man it can read to remind the members of the principles and the laws and commandment of the foundation. Yeah. Yeah, my Lord.
So yes, like I said, on the most basic level, how we treat one another really determines how peaceful our city, our community, our household, even the way you treat yourself, you have to love yourself if you want to have peace within yourself. So, that's one thing. Now, to establish justice is another reason for a government. That's the purpose for having a government, is to maintain justice. When you have crime, the government is supposed to, serve the victim of the crime and really protect people from criminals. And so that's, as the societies that you see today, their form of justice is not exactly, the way I and I deal with justice, like their whole court system and all of that stuff is not, that's not what you find inside, Melchizedek's righteous kingdom, We have more like a people's court, and I would love for even anyone still, but the elders to really show us, examples of how justice has been served, I guess, in history and inside the campgrounds when there was different violations of, say, principles, but also violations of other people's rights, you know what I mean? Because that's what justice is to protect people's rights within the society. So, you know, how does the Congress in the past provided justice, and also we have, you know, current issues that need justice. How are we to handle such situations, you know, now and in the future? What is our, anyway, I'll just leave it there. I don't want to ask too many questions in one.
Well, my Lord, I'm giving, well, my Lord, give thanks again, Bobo, as you throw out the question. There are many different type of incidents, Bobo. Yeah, you have incident that will, you know, so go to the father, you know, a brother and a sister have a problem, you know, our brothers or sisters and sisters, and cannot solve by themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because naturally, if two sisters have a problem and that go to an elder, another sister, that make it 3 years in, and them sit down and reason to it, and it cannot come to a justice naturally, then you have to bring it to the father. You see, now when you bring it to the father, is it a judgment or justice, you know? You know, see, when you bring it to that, I know is anything goes. Yeah? But the father is so merciful more time, you know, that he will sit and talk with them. You sit and work it out with both parties and tell them, so no go now and build on yourself. Now make get things right. But you have some incident, Bobo, where a judgment going to come out of it. You know, see it to what happen. You know, see it, a judgment definitely have to come out of it. You know, see it. So depends power. What is calling now? The one what caused the problem. Well, the father would say, then my Lord or Empress, you have to take a time off of the foundation because what you did was very wrong, right? And you have to go back. Take a time, take a 2 months or a 3 months, right? And build back yourself. Yeah, because you know the principle, you know how we live, you know everything. And you make that wrong move. So naturally, you have to go bear it. So take a time and go and build yourself. And when you feel like everything is all right, and you can come back, then you are free to return. You have some incident too, Bobo, where a congregation have to deal with it now, that I turn it over to the congregation. So a reason have to be called, right? Now, when the reasoning call, it's a freedom for everyone that is in the reasoning, you know, talk on the topic, you know, reason upon it, whether, well, you know, you could have the deem of freedom or man, him have to go take a time. That's a judgment. Yeah. When the father hand it over to the congregation. Now, sometimes the father hand it over to the congregation to see how the congregation are going to carry it. Who have mercy, you know, and who have the love, who are going to give him a freedom, who are going to have some mercy upon the person, or who are going to give him the judgment. You have some time where judgment is just evident. Yeah, but to where the problem is, and to where him do, him have to get a judgment. You know, see, you know? So I saw it go within yourself. We never used to go and call in police, anyone thing. Because we brothers, them never really do no crime thing. Yeah? No fight. We never used to fight. You know? And thing. Nobody never used to cuss within the courts. But you have grievous incident. Yeah, when man and man wrought against them one another and say a word that is not upful, you know, our man got trouble a man things, you know, and all of that. And him have to go take a time off of the hill. So we do it ourselves, you know, because we are a government. Yeah, and we call reason. And when you call the reasoning no, that means it is a justice or judgment. Yeah, that's what come out of the reasoning. Is it a justice or judgment? Yeah? Yeah? You have a time when man upon the altar and I throw all words in the congregation and I talk certain things about white and, you know, them things there. always what they call it, they know, what we say, what is the word, the man, what we do, man, what we just not deal with, hey, no remember the word. I don't remember the word at all.
What it, can you describe what it is?
Yeah, man, when them say, you don't look on a man and say, white man, you know, even if you have a little, the little, color, you're not black, so they term you as, white man, you know, and you have sometime the bridge and then go upon the altar and then throw the judgment upon the bridge and then where color is not black and paying up the bridge in them. So you see all of that Sunday morning is a reason for that. Yes, man, just send reason of a call because say Prince Emmanuel not teach that. Yeah. And in Congress is not for that. Him say it's for 140 and 4,000. Him also said, elect from every nation, yet one overall. Yeah, and the principle of the foundation is to learn every woman, man and woman under is our vine and fig tree. So you see all when them negativity reason come up, my man, is a judgment come out of that, because the last big reason like that, Priest Rugo were dead and gone. Him had was to left the hill. Yeah, him had us to left because the Sabbath bubble. I don't forget. Every brethren and empress have a little light color. Feel pain the Sabbath day. To how him preach and go on the altar because his skin was black. And then John glorified. Sunday morning, man, big reasoning. Tabernacle fuller. Yeah. So my father stay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah, some my dad stay. See. So them think the bubble cause you know you have to leave. You have to leave, deal with for them kind of a reasoning there. Yeah. But we never used to call police. Police never used to come for yard for incident and nothing. See it? Yeah.
So we never got called? You said the police never used to get called?
No, sir. Not when my father did it. No, sir. That I never got called the police to solve the situation. Because me tell you, a little teeth and tongue more time. But sometimes the teeth and tongue get out of control. A man have to get a judgment for that. But fighting and them thing that Daniel never used to go on the foundation when my father was there. And we know that we got gone a courthouse, we know in a war with no one. Bobo, in 2011, I was looking about Emancipation March, where we say we're having a million woman march. Understand? And when we always have to write the letter to the police, to get a freedom for the march, because if we don't do that, then we're not going to get a freedom. And the police, when I went to the station at Rockford, it was about 3 of us. And we sat down with the inspector, and the inspector was talking, ready to give away freedom, because when the inspector said, him said during the years of Bobo Shanti, if it was Bobo Shanti alone, him not have to come and walk, him not just come and work, sign him name, and go back home. The Rastafari fraternity, no problem. Yeah, if I did Bobo Shanti alone. So at that the kind of name that we did have. See, we don't know what we have now. Because we'll have an incident with our courthouse and we'll have a thing where we're not used to. See, that's so it was.
All right. Yes, I do. Thanks, Empress. And yes, I would love to hear what. All right. So our parliament situation is, in a repair state. It's not really set fully, but we're working on it as a people. But aside from that, what form of justice? How do we keep and maintain justice amongst us? I mean, of course, there's self-control, and governing yourself and, not doing wrong. But then when someone does wrong, what procedures really do we have now that is not coming on one man to really give a judgment or, to choose what are we supposed to do.
Quotas, no.
But is that really the right, you know?
No, that is not the right.
But
It
that's
is
what
quotas. A quotas them turn to Bobo. You can't see the whole world can't see a quotas. Bobo should turn to know to give justice. You see, and that is nothing to our thing. That is nothing to our government.
all right.
Now we are a government.
So,
in our government.
So what
we're
then?
supposed to can angle we seen.
What's the right way for us to do it then? With, you know, besides courthouse police.
Ask her that, but no. Right now, where you see, that are going right now. It have to change. It have to change. Yeah, it have to change, man.
Priest Dougie, yeah, I know, my Lord.
We have to get right with God, my Lord.
Yes, Sister Leanne, I forget right with God, of course. You know, see, but are the people them ready? Eh? You know, see where it reach. Everything's good.
All right. Well, I ain't hearing from Priest Dougie for the moment. Maybe he's busy, or maybe you don't have the answer still, but.
You might be answer, man. That Dougie have answer them, Bobo.
Yeah, sorry, my Lord. I just stepped away for a minute. Sorry.
Yeah, my Lord. Give thanks, Jada.
My man is here.
Did you hear the question, my Lord? I guess you probably didn't hear the question. I was saying the Empress kind of gave an, you know, not story, but a clarification, a clearance on how things used to be handled when it comes to like violations of people's rights within the camp, you know, like say, you know, somebody stealing something or whatever the case may be. Dada used to, you know, deal with it, or he would turn it over to the congregation. But now that, you know, we don't have Dada to really determine how it's supposed to be handled, what are we supposed to do now when we have, say, you know, crimes and things going on within our membership, within our Congress, not just inside the headquarters, but internationally and things, you know, amongst ourselves? How do we handle it? What's the right way to do it?
Well, this is where now the process of evolution, because we cannot just look at what was done during our father's time, even though that is the standard, the template on which we're gonna build. But this is 30 years or almost 30 years since our father transitioned. The times are different, just like how we see His Majesty revise his constitution over the years and call for the ecumenical conference to revise his spirituality, his spiritual practices. We have to do the same. Right now, this thing about police, first of all, the system hasn't changed, you know. It's the same Babylon system. And if from then time the I say them can't give with justice, or we are go to them for justice now. We kind of getting confused about I tried. The only reason for going to Babylon, you know, is for certain things that you do that is Babylon-wise. Like, now, something like rape and molestation is beyond I periphery in dealing with. You know, when I say that, it's beyond we don't have any recourse for something like that more than to banish you. And banishment is not good enough because you're sending that predator out into the world to prey upon others. And that is not what this is about. Again, and if it's our brothers and we value each other as brothers and sisters, if it's an illness a person have, it is our duty to find them help, that them can be cured of that illness. Now, if it's their nature, you know, and how you know that it's a person's nature, it's repetitious, something that them do constantly been doing, seeing, then, you know, something like that need more recourse to it, you know. That is where now you would turn them over to the law per se then. But our internal affairs, our little squabbles, our little differences, you know, a man even take away a spliff or take away a little tea. That is not where we not go to Babylon for them kind of thing there. We are brother and sister and we are a government. We have to have our way of dealing with it. Them have these pretty words today, you know, restorative justice and all those kind of pretty words that them use today about circumstances like these. All right, first of all, depends on the infraction, and one turban with a lift, or if it's not that detrimental, a man would get some time off at the altar if it's just an internal in the camp thing. But if it's bigger than that, a man would get some time off of the hill, like Mama Maisie say. If it's bigger than that, a man would get turban lift and time off of the hill. And if it's bigger than that, a man would get read out. Now, when it reaches read out, is not a simple thing, you know. When it reached the level of read out, you know, read out is a don't come back from type of thing, you know. When you get read out, you know, that means that you get read out, your name take out of the roll call book, all of that, you know, you get read out of the Congress. That is for heinous crimes. See, that means that you no longer represent Bobo Shanti in any way. You understand? You are out. So there are levels that we deal with internally, but there are crimes that goes beyond even that now. Like we say, harming a one temple is something that Rastafari in general don't do. And as a house of priests, a divine house of priests and empress, we don't do that. That is not something we do. You know, a lot of our morals have decayed. So you find certain things go on. We badmouth one another, and we love to lambaste one another, and you know, talk behind people and all of those things. That is in the principles, you know. It said we're not supposed to do them things. They bear false witness, backstab, you know, tail bearing, all of them things. They think are the principles. If you are an Ashanti, a Bobo Ashanti priest, an empress, those are things that are a no-no. And if you are found guilty of those things, there has to be some consequence. You understand? So it's gonna have to be aligned with one of the measures that we just spoke of, whether, you know, you're gonna get time off of the hill, time out of anything, not just off the hill, you know. When you get time off of the hill, it applies to every branch, you know. If you are in a problem with your branch, if your congregation said that you do something wrong within the congregation, that judgment or justice that you receive stands for every congregation in which you go. It's a standard. See? So if it's an infraction for not to be in the congregation, you can't go to another camp, go get into the congregation there either. That should not be allowed. The leading priest there should have his links with the collective, and that judgment or justice is universal, you know. But it's I and I know in this time we need to form an entity. We need to structure in a way that we have a committee, you know, whatever name you want to apply to it, a group, whether it's a council, you know, that assesses infractions, you know, that look at what the problem is, you know, who offended who, what was the offense, what caused the offense, how do you repair that offense. We need to have a body among us, a group among us that is of conscious, unbiased ones that will look at these infractions and then now apply the right judgment or justice to it. At this point, we don't. Our Congress is broken down into cliques and groups and friends and things like that, when we are all brothers and sisters. That is what we need to reestablish, the brotherhood and the sisterhood, you know, of our father, King Emmanuel. When we establish that, then we naturally will be able to pick senior members who have the experience and the knowledge of how the Congress is to function. They would sit on a council that would advise now any other council, any other group within the Congress on issues like that. We would take matters to them, and they would look at the matter and hand down their judgment or justice, you know, or hand down what they think should be done or what they have chosen to be done. See, but until we reach that level of structuring, you know, we're gonna have the kind of chaos that we're having right now, because we have lost respect and love for one another on that divine level. You know, because I'm sorry, I have to speak straight. You know, we don't have to agree upon everything, so I'm just gonna speak plain and straight. You know, the item do have ones and ones can disagree, but I think I just have to say it. Like the situation right now, where it was posted on these sites, where Jesus is saying that he's going to shut down the Miami branch and that the Miami branch can't even keep service and all them things there. He has no authority to do that. None whatsoever. You understand? Because you're usurping senior priests without engaging us in any form of dialogue or, anything. There's no methodology to is justice or judgment that I'm trying to establish. See, because no one has called the Miami branch to say, Virgin, why you did this or why you didn't do that, and how does that work and how doesn't that work? Nobody has engaged us on any one of those levels. You understand? A lot of people going off a hearsay, a lot of people going off of just some little self-hate business that them have in themselves, that them trying to inflict on others. See, we need structure in the Congress. If the Congress is going to be pertinent in the 21st century, we need to find back that first love that we had for one another. I have never learned from our father to disrespect one another. Even when you're angry with your brother, you're supposed to still be calling him my Lord and your sister Empress. We don't call one another out of each other's name. It's human frailties make us do that. It's when we're not purged enough. It's when we're not spiritual enough, not conscious enough that we do those things. Just like out a road when them cuss guile and them thing there. That is evidence of ignorance, because guile doesn't speak to what you're angry about. If you're angry about, I moved the cup from where it's supposed to be and you're angry about that, speak about the cup being moved. Cussing some words that don't reflect that just displays your ignorance and your, we as priests, we don't do that. That is what we were taught not to do by our father. Saying, so even that move alone show you that our Congress needs urgent structuring, Rasta. Seeing the congregation is the people is the power. The power is Majesty established that. Marcus Garvey, the Honorable Prophet, established that the power abides with the people. The voice of the people is the voice of God. Seeing, so it's the will of the people that the structure supports, and there is none right now. So we need to organize those kind of structures to get ourselves back on the pathway. See, and it starts within self too, not just in identifying ones to sit in a position. It starts in all of us, where we have to acknowledge who we are. If we are a member of the EABIC, if we have pledged and volunteered our service and our life to this liberty, then we have to assume the persona that the Father set for I and I, seeing, which is that godly persona. And some of the things that I see taking place and some of the actions that is happening among us right now is definitely not godly. Seeing, give thanks.
My Lord, glorify, give thanks.
Go through, my Lord.
We have principles, we have the 10 Commandments, but we also, the Fetz and the Gas as established by His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie I. Well, not really established by, but he did rectify it, the law of the kings. That's what Fetz and the Gas means, the law of the kings. That's a good, real comprehensive guide, of righteous government, righteous law, and but our structure, like the priest said, is priority at this point. Without a parliament, without a governing body, committee, and all of that stuff, it's really hard to even execute any kind of justice, because the people don't really like who has the authority, So yes, and the next point, as far as the purpose of government, was to ensure domestic tranquility, which is peace, domestic peace inside the gates of the Congress, and within its membership, there should be peace amongst each other, especially within, headquarters and campgrounds and things like that. Out in the world, it's kind of, you have to set your own peace, but inside the campground, the gate is there to ensure that no, not just anyone can run inside and do anything, you know, everybody that comes in is seen, and you know, checking in inside the guard house. That's another form of security, knowing who came, so you know what, you know, who it could have been. If anything does go wrong, you would know who it who it possibly could have been at that particular time, because they check in inside there. And you know, what is there any other means that we have that, you know, ensure domestic tranquility within inside, you know, our membership within the headquarters and within any other campgrounds, you know? I'll just, you know, leave it there for anyone to answer. If not, I'll continue. All right. To promote general welfare, you know, like Empress Maisie brought up, the universal kitchen, you know, and she also mentioned that when you come to Bobo Hill, if you don't have clothes are, you know, provided to you within reason, you know. If you want to stay there, housing is, you know, is available. You know, water is, you know, provided for everyone. Food is provided for everyone. You know, living as a nation wealth people is not about, you know, doing for self. Is more so about doing for all. You know, everybody contributes, whether it be given, you know, like you said, 1/10 of the spoil, or just giving your all. You know, because even say like money, yeah, you might want to only give 1/10, but then your energy, you're like going to get water, going to get wood, you know, ministering on the altar. All of them things is things that's done for the collective, you know, it's not done for one person.
And is the next Jamaican youth would look like after COVID?
My Lord? Okay.
Sorry, my Lord.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Prophet.
Give thanks, my Lord. Yeah, so the concept of being, you know, a nation wealth, you know, and not really having like personal, you know, not so personal like how, you know, in the world is everybody buy a house, everybody buy a car, everybody buy everything for themselves. Is more so a shared, you know.
We call it universal. We call it universal gates, you know, universal kitchen. You understand? Universal man gates, universal woman gates. You know, it's universal.
Rastafari.
Yeah.
Yes,
but a family doja, Daniel. Like myself. I came to the Congress and I live in a universal gates for 4 months, and then I build my house because I have a family. Now the universal gate is for ones that are coming, you know, and don't have a gates, or they are coming to spend some time to go back, you know. But me now, who's coming to live into the Congress, I would have to build a house, you know, I would have to build a house for my family. You understand? But I could stay in the universal gates until I build, the house is built for my family, you know?
Yeah. That's such a strength. Like you don't see that nowhere else really in the world. I mean,
nowhere else.
It's like, you know, in America, welfare is food stamps and Section 8 housing, you know, which if you use it properly, it definitely could help you, you know, get ahead in life. But generally, it's like if you start to make too much money, then they, you know, that could be taken away. So it's really like, it's like an incentive to not really do better for yourself, in a sense, because it's not like, when I say that, is to say like, all right, you just to be inside of the bracket where you could have those things provided for you, you kind of have to be like on a certain level of poverty. But then if you get out of that level of poverty, but just outside of the level of poverty isn't really enough to get you to the level where you're like self-reliant. So it's like if you are not qualifying for those, you know, social welfare programs, then you're just poor enough to where you can't really move up in society. I don't think, you know, food stamps and Section 8 really is intended to help you become like move from be upwardly mobile, which means they go from being poor to being, say, middle class, or, you know, it really is just like, it's not so easy to move up in life, you know. But say to own your own home, even though it's within the gates of the camp, that's, you know, a certain level of autonomy, you know, as an individual to have your own space, you know, so and everybody doesn't have to worry about food necessarily, you know, you just contribute to the universal kitchen and everybody gets provided for. That just relieves a lot of financial burden, you know, because in the world you have to, like, you gotta pretty much focus on work, you know, so much that your spirituality becomes like a second thought, you know what I mean? Whereas within Melchizedek's righteous kingdom, your spirituality and temporal growth is, you know, hand in hand, you know, and so the providing universally certain temporal needs gives you more freedom to build yourself spiritually. So it's, you know, it's beautiful. Prophet Carlton, your hand is up. You can speak, my lord. Unmute yourself.
My Lord, give thanks again,
Yes,
my
sir.
Lord and Empress. Yes, truly, I just touch on the financial, you know, aspect of the government, and you know, even from Empress Maisie did point it out, and others, you know, talking of the 10% and these things there, you know, and you know, just listening. You see different aspects that develop along the way, you know, and even like the is talking there, you know, saying coming from poverty, you know, so one might say that they don't have nothing to give, you know, they don't have no 10% or, you know, so you can come in and build up yourself to that point, you know. Being at camp, you know, things are a little bit different, you know, or one might put their all in, you know, some priests, some prophets might not be able to do certain things because they might be on the churchical, you know, more than the statical, and these things there. Don't really know how, you know, the fullness of it goes by. Could you just imagine it like that there, you know, that some priests are more on the altar, you know, throughout like Lent time where they service every day, and, you know, like that there. So that being said, you know, bringing back the biblical aspect, you know, from Leviticus, you know, shows us, you know, of that 10%. And I was talking also of, you know, doing even more than the 10%, because 10% would be your tithes. So it's set, you know, everybody will be set, and it's a principle set from them times and now. And, you know, even if you're getting $10, you know, or £10, or, you know, anything like that, you could give one then now, and that there within yourself then now, you would get your blessing back, you know. A lot of people would see it as a lot, you know, and it can come like that. But, you know, in these times there, with the amount of Bobo we have out there, these thousands and thousands, and one specifically said it, you know, it was like ones outside of the camp who were sending in their tithes and offerings, you know, offerings being like, sometimes you see something need to go on, you know, like a building need to go on, and you yourself could sponsor it, you know, send 1,000, which is probably way more than 10% of your earnings for the month or even the year. You know, you see, you could do that, you offer that unto him, you know, you see the need. And these things, I imagine, came along the way, plenty stories of offerings, you know, I know. But the constant 10%, you know, coming in from even that few amount at that time, you know, in the 70s, 80s. Now that we have thousands, you know, just imagine how rich this government, you know, could be just on the basic principles there, far less for other, you know, industries, you know. So it's just something to look at, that if we really take everything seriously, we have enough things in place, you know, to see that financial structure build up without, you know, too much being done, you know. Just everybody is already out there working and doing their thing, you know. And a lot of people have things to give, you know, like sometimes, you know, especially in years gone by, I don't even know who to send a little strength to. So sometimes, you know, you might do a little donation, you might give to somebody on the streets, you know, and these kind of things. So, you know, it's about putting it in one pool, you know, because the tithing is for the storehouse, you know, like the Empress talk about the universal kitchen, having food there. You know, they talk about what time when Jah was there, the storehouse been full of this and that, you know, when star come, you know, all the big bags of rice and flour and these things there, full up, you know. So, you know, it would be really nice to see us come back to that, you know, level, because the importance of these things, when people hungry, you know, people do desperate things. People start to change their attitude, you know, just from that basic thing like food, you know, and, you know, shelter and clothing. When things get drastic, people do drastic things and change their ways. And this is what you see happening through the basic elements, you know, that Jah used to provide, you know, that we know should be there, is not efficient, you know, as before, you know, is really coming to where, you know, people are doing things that are, you know, things we never knew before. So it's about getting back to that standard there, you know, that, you know, the elders, you know, speaking of, you know, and all these great things, you know, we love to hear of these things and we love to see these things, you know, in our time back again and even better. Because like I say, we have more Bobo now. We, you know, we have more education amongst us. We have more information, you know, knowledge out there, access to things, you know, is a lot easier. When we pull these things together like the elders did, you could imagine the kind of government, you know, that we would have right now. You know, I could see it being glorious, you know, and this is just, you know, Black people generally. I think we have this problem, you know, where, you know, coming together. So let me just deal with our issues, you know, and for now, you know, get together and reason out, get back that brother and sisterhood to gain that trust, you know, because the trust thing then
I'd
now,
love to
yeah, with the
speak now.
trust. Yes, Empress. Yes.
No,
I will
not
see
you.
up there.
Not you, my lord. I just want that Daniel to know that.
Okay. Yeah. When we get back that trust as brothers and sisters, you know, then we can start to give our 10% or whatever it is, or whatever offering, whatever work we have to do, we'll do that willingly, knowing that it's going to a good cause, the right cause, the only cause. There isn't this side splinter movement, because a lot of us, we start to work in these groups and think we're doing a good thing, and then before you know it, that mash up and all our effort just went to nothing really, you know. I won't say nothing because we all learning along the way, but you know, we end up with disappointment and we know that we could have done better. So I will leave it there, you know, if the Empress wants to speak and, you know, give thanks for letting me share my word.
Yes, my Lord, give thanks, Honorable. Empress Maisie.
Yes, my lord. Give thanks again for this powerful reason going through, you know, man. Yeah, man, enough understanding and wisdom is knowledge is, you know, taught right here now. Yeah, my lord. When I came to the foundation, I'm speaking about the international bodies now of Virgin and Empress. When I came to the foundation in 1979, there was one little virgin I know, his name is Honorable Prophet Brandel. I don't know where we are now, and Sister Tandiri was his Empress. And they were the only link that is, you know, I heard coming from America, right? And then in a few years' time, my Lord, you have brethren coming in from Trinidad, brethren coming in from Bahamas, brethren coming in from America, until it reach England, till it reach Brazil, till it reach all over.
Africa.
You know? Africa. Oh, you leave Africa. You know, see it. You know, after a while, everybody was coming in, Bobo. You know, see it. And we know, I know, in every corner of the earth right now, there's a Bobo man and a Bobo woman there. Yeah. Some of them don't even understand we culture and thing. Yeah. But me know that. Because me I go Trinidad go meet one brethren come from way down in one of the country there. And he say him and the Empress alone they down there as Bobo.
True,
so
man.
We are well vast international all over the world right now.
True.
And if every man, you know, decide, no, I'm not gonna say every man still, you know, because you know, so every man and woman couldn't come in. But suppose them decide, so watch ya, we are going to visit the foundation. We are going to visit the foundation. Can our foundation hold all the bubbles right now? And
No.
Empress and little ones?
No.
No, we can't.
No.
If ever here, Virgin come and go, man, be loyal. You see the bubbles them right now, they are not loyal to the Congress. Yeah?
They are not loyal. For the reason being, they are not visiting. Me know say things and things hard, man, and it's not money. It's not every time I want to have money to send, but Lord, pay a little visit to the foundation that make who you are right now, because the foundation make enough people to be international, like myself. like myself. If I even be singing, and somebody hear about me, you know, every corner, somebody hear my voice somewhere or the other.
True, mama.
You know, see it. So man, so if our brothers them just be loyal and just pay a visit to the Father Foundation. Prince Emmanuel left it to know my honorables. Yeah? Because if him left it, we left it. The man is there in I and I, sons and daughters. You know, see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the thing. Let me add a little thing now. I want to suggest something. I think part of the problem is that so much negative have gone out.
Yes,
that make one just hold them corner and I do them thing with them there. But you're the thing now, mama, and ones that are on this thread right now, and anyone that is hearing. We need, as a house, the healing has to start somewhere. We have to set an atmosphere for that healing. And that atmosphere, I think, has to come from what they call, we don't need to reinvent the wheel if the wheel exists already, you know. South Africa had a great methodology in dealing with them internal situations that took place. Rwanda, with the genocide that took place in Rwanda there between the Hutus and the Tutsi, the Watutsi, they came up, as a matter of fact, they adopted the principle of South Africa and used in their reconciliation process. And now that system is called a Truth and Reconciliation Committee, which was put in place to hold reasonings, you know, among both entities or all entities involved to bring about that reconciliation. Seeing what we would call atonement, you know, redress, reparations, if need be, you know, would come from that process. But we need to have a sit down as a Congress, you know, all parties, especially the learned ones, the ones that were there present with the Father, who claimed that they were given that gift. And they were. It's just that somehow them talent under a bushel. You know, some go bury the one talent and never try manifest it into something more. You know, we know that biblical story where the master gave one, gave one 5, gave 1 10, and so forth. Well, it's the same thing. Some never do what them need to do. You understand? But we need to have a process where ones can come now and sit and voice their grievances. You know, whoever the offenders are need to answer to, you know, those who were victimized, you know, so we can find a method of healing, a process of healing to bring back the house, the family back together, you know, where we can start feel back that love the way we did feel when we come find our Father. Because, Sila, you know, by how we living now, the man say, you know, I and I for make I and I light shine to the world, that man and men may see and glorify him. I and I are this the Father right now by how I am living.
Yes.
I and I not showing that light that is shining. You know that light shine?
Dull, man. Like
right
dull.
now, I even just this couple of days ago, I was on a Zoom conference with the Bingi Bridge and them and different groups of Rasta there in Jamaica. And Sister Mitzi and others have always spoken of the respect what them have for the Bobo order, especially during the years of the Father, because we were always the frontliners, the headliners in the repatriation initiative. You understand? And in defending justice for the poor and the have-not. We were always that. That was our, the government knew that. Everybody respected I and I Chad because of that. You see, when them would have diss up other races out on the road, when them see a Bobo man, them don't deal with Bobo man them way there, you know. Because them know say Bobo man is Prince Emmanuel man them.
Yeah, unless you know deal if I just you are not going to deal with yourself proper.
True.
Yes.
Yes, that's true.
So you see, I and I need to get back to that level, Rasta. How do we get back to that level? Find back the love amongst yourself and the respect for one another. You know? But those that are wounded and hurt, they feel that they have not gotten any justice. They have not, their pains have not been dealt with. They have not been heard. Their woes have not been heard. So that is the starting point where we need to start at. You see, all of the other things that we have reasoned about over the last weeks on this study group is very important. But none of them will come to fruit if we cannot find back that love and respect.
Yeah.
You understand? So when people see it and hear it, wherever them there, them want to come know it. Them want to run, come to them here say, the brethren and the sisters on Bobo Hill are some principal brothers and sisters, and their brothers and sisters that are outside support them and they work together as a family. You see, when others around the world hear that, they will want to come and see that divine order.
True.
Yes, so we have to find back we have to find a method in calling back our brothers and sisters to the table.
Yes, I.
And dealing with their issue. Sorry, Jadan, I don't mean to be long-winded, but this is a very important aspect of what we need to do. And I came to camp, I don't remember if it was 2009 or thereabouts. I remember Priest Campbell came in, Priest Knuckles came in, Iman came in, Priest Irel came in, Priest Merle from New York came in. A lot of ones came in to the call, because the Congress had put out a call, an international call for I to come in and sit and discuss our father's business and put back the house together. And we attempted it, we came, but we were frustrated.
2007?
About
49 years anniversary, 49-year anniversary, 2007.
And we came and we were frustrated by what took place, in the sense of you had some brethren that sat in the seat of, by default, in the seat of power, that did not allow the kind of reasoning that should have taken place to take place. Instead, it became personal attacks and one's regurgitating 20 years, things that took place that we cannot go back in time and change. True. You understand? But we can acknowledge that something went down and apologize and whatever needs be and move on. But we were not given that chance. You understand? And we came in, and I said we did have it either, you know, because sometimes, you know, people look like because you're over in the foreign land, you have it just flowing. No, we are here hustling just like any hustler anywhere else trying to survive. But we came in because we saw the value, the importance of coming in to reason about our father's business. Well, we need a forum like that where we are allowed now as a family without the hindrance of the stern disciples and the you know, stiff-necked, you know, to deter what can make everything better. Because if that reasoning was allowed to proceed, because before coming there, Priest Campbell, Priest Knuckles, Priest Irel, and different ones here in North America reasoned together, and we decided that we were coming to give full support. And from that would have come financial support as well. You know, it would have any support that was needed, we were willing to attempt to bring to the table. Saying, we want to do that, Pastor. This is our house, this is our Congress. We want the Congress to be functioning again. We want to know, say, January the 7th, if we're not rocking it wherever we are, we can come home, come rock it with our family, and we can sit down and we can deal with some government work while we're there to make sure, say, the Africa mission is still being supported the way it's supposed to be supported. You understand? Make sure that the education of our youths, our young prophets and princesses are being, you know, afforded them. that we are giving them the tools that they need to survive in the 21st century. You know, if we not do that, Rasta, we have failed our Father.
Good talk, Chris Dougie. Good talk, Majesty.
I
Yes,
give
sir.
thanks. I give thanks.
Yeah, man. Give thanks to them talk there, you know. Strengthening talk that I have.
Yes, sir, Prophet Daniel. I defer to the eye now, my Lord.
Thanks, my Lord. It's all good. As long as it's on topic, you know, I don't really, I mean, you know, it's good to keep a time to allow others to speak, but as long as we're on topic, I don't really mind too much, you know, a little bit longer. Because when one start to ramble on stuff, that's kind of when I want them to wrap up still. But we had two hands raised. I did want to make a point before I call on Jacori and then Empress Leanne that, you know, general welfare is also social programs, you know, like helping people to reach their goals in life and putting them in place, you know, being able to recognize people's strengths and weaknesses and to help to bring out the best in each other, you know?
Yes, my Lord.
Honorable, can you hear me?
Yeah, we're hearing you.
All right. So yeah, to be able to help people to bring out the best in themselves, you know, that's really the best thing we can do for one another is to help each other be better, you know. So yeah, besides providing food and shelter and, you know, clothes, those basic things, you know, government also sets up different programs using whatever resources are available just to help people to accomplish their goals and to be their best self still. But I'll leave that there and call on Jacori, and then Honorable Empress Leanne will be next. My Lord, you can unmute yourself.
Yes, I blessed love. Give thanks for the clearance. I had a question dealing with, now we were talking about the truth and reconciliation. My Lord brought that up, Honorable Peace Dougie, the ones that happened in Rwanda and South Africa. And from my understanding, what happened in South Africa, there was no penalty attached to it. Ones can correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I remember, it was just that. It was like an airing of grievances, but there was no like penal code or there was no reparations, you know? So I was wondering now, there was, earlier we discussed about the readout, when ones get read out of the Congress now. So I was just about, you know, repercussions to destructive behavior. My Lord, give thanks.
Yes, Honorable.
Yeah, a truth and reconciliation settings is not so much about, at that point, about giving reparations. It's about the two entities clearing the air. You understand? Hearing each other and acknowledging the offender, acknowledging the damage that he has done, and the victim being able to voice the pain that they, you know, receive from the perpetrator's actions. Then know if there is need for reparations in that sense, or if, because most of the time when things like that happen, you know, like what took place in Rwanda and in South Africa, how do you quantify a material redress for that? It's hard to. A life is more than any monetary value. You understand? When you rape a woman, when you take away that sense of individuality, that control from that individual, how do you quantify something like that? When you molest a child and that child grow up messed up in their spirituality and in their mentality, how do you quantify that in dollars? That is hard. That is almost impossible to me to quantify. But by acknowledging that you did that wrong, you know, and even I listened to most of the Rwanda reconciliation case, and I tell you, I was listening to it. I'm telling you, I'm a big man and I don't cry easy, and tears are just running down my face listening to a lot of the victims talking to their survivors talking to the perpetrators and giving an account of what they went through. I mean, it tore me up, you know. But I heard ones accept, and I saw perpetrators become babies in that moment of time, crying and sobbing like babies when they really realized the level of pain that they inflicted on their victim. And that helped the victim to heal from things like that, you know. So it's not so much about material at this point. It's about acknowledgement and acceptance and hearing, you know. Yeah, the victim hearing that you acknowledge that, yo, I should have never done that. That was wrong. I can't change it at this point, but with my whole heart, I am sorry. If I could turn back the hands of time, I would take it. Yeah, just the victim hearing things like that, seeing sets an atmosphere for that victim to have closure now and be able to move on to the next phase in their life.
Yes, my Lord. So, you know, therapy and all of these things, but also one big thing that I haven't even heard mentioned yet, and I just thought about it myself, is education. You know, His Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I was he was in charge of education for his country, you know, and so same way education is the minister, give thanks, Empress, the minister of education. Same way education, we call this Jerusalem schoolroom. Our education is also important. You know, there's the temporal and spiritual education.
May I speak on that, please?
Well, yeah, there was a hand raised. I wanted to call
man. It's after Jadaniel. No
yes,
problem.
I to that. Yes, I Empress Leanne, go through.
Bless the Lord, my Lord and Empress. Yes, my Lord and Empress, give thanks for life and the mighty life giver, Holy Emmanuel, Selassie. Blessed moment of reasoning. Give thanks to his elders' reasoning, you know. Yes, as a priest, you know, it's our time to be at the elders' feet, you know, and try gather what they could gather, you know. So give thanks for the elders, them, you know. Give thanks for life and the mighty life giver again, Jah Rastafari. My Lord and Empress, concerning like the government, right? When learning about what our government is about and how our government's supposed to run and about the Congress, you know, enough things along the way. I live in the camp in Trinidad, the Bobo Shanti camp in Trinidad. And since social media come and learn even more about the government and the Congress and these things, you know, like from on groups and all these different reasoning and these different things that come and learn about. And out of 100%, especially from what I see in Trinidad here, it not even running at least 10-20%. You understand the way the Congress and the government really supposed to be running. Now we are aware of this, to know all of us is aware of this problem and struggling to find a solution. As I said earlier, we have to get right with God, you know, but it's a process, you know, it's a process with a lot of justice and judgment and these things, you know, is what will bring peace and these things they still. My Lord and Empress, we always talk about the love and the unity, you know, bring these things, which is the foundation to really, you know, like being real with oneself to help bring forth the attitude to deal with these things sincerely. You understand? Priest Dougie was talking about, you know, love and respect and love and these things for each other. Them is two main things, you know. See, having respect for each other and forgiveness, that does help us a lot. You understand? I just think that for we to really become if we wait to get unity is very important, but the way things drastic in the Congress, even just in little Trinidad here alone, even elders amongst who sit with the man, that are reasoning the other day, when reasoning supposed to bring peace, it bring more bitterness. You understand? And what I see here and going on internationally, I just think personally to myself, in my opinion, it's so terrible, and even, people really want to work the work to get right with each other so we could get unity to do what needs to be done. You understand? So I just think if we got to wait for this real unity here, is a long way, no. Just little Trinidad is a long, long way. You understand? So I just think that, that I could be wrong, but Jago just have a selected set of people who have his way, with some sincere hearts to really get the thing done the way it's supposed to go now. You understand? We had to get right with God, as in forgiveness and respect for each other and these different things, my Lord and Savior, so we could get get sincere, so we could deal with the government and get to deal with the Father works the way it's supposed to go through, because progress is moral. God to really get things go through the way it's supposed to go through. Now, forgiveness and these things is more easily said than done. To forgive each other something, especially at the level of disrespect. It's not an easy thing, I would like to just run a quick something that happened to me recently that bring me to the point. The only how I could get peace is through forgiveness. As a member here nearly 20 years, you understand? I here about 17, 18 years, do nothing. Love church. You understand? Whenever I'm free, I could get to go to church. I love to go to church. And the other days, about 4 or 5 months, different vibes and really get to go to the Father house, So after about 4 months, I get a freedom to go. It's 22 days. When it's after 21 days, a woman's supposed to go. I am 22 days, so I am freely full within myself to go to church. And when I went to church now, when I go up to the church and I block my prayer and turn and bless the God to go into the church, I hear from in the congregation of Bingy rocking, priest on the altar, drums playing, and from within all that, as I look to enter the church, I hear somebody saying, "Don't let the Empress come in here." Hard from in the congregation, "Don't let the Empress come in here. The Empress on free. Don't let the Empress come in here." Disturb the service, but the service going on. Another Empress from in the congregation was like, "Why don't want the Empress come in?" And he like, "Shut her up, Bingy rocking, praises going up, And hard, and he come out and meet me by the God and tell me I can't come in the service through upon my side polluted with some other neighbors that are free. And it's a story with that, with a baby born and all these different things. Now what I tell this priest embarrassed me spiritually and physically to the highest, you understand me? And that Sabbath, it was a sin. Now I leave and I walk, I leave, I went and get another priest come down. It was the next scene. But true say the Sabbath moving through, I had to cool and you're trying to reason and these different things. I couldn't rest that Sabbath when the service done after I leave and I come home when that service finished after 12. I went down there after 12. And I talked to that priest, is the God, I say so much shots me on the right for King Emmanuel died, so he could disrespect me. You had to know how to deal with people and these different things. I even tell him he days numbered in the God house. He's the God, I say your days numbered there. You understand? I come back up the hill and I still ain't feeling comfortable after 6 the evening. Sabbath done I going back down. I tell him I want a reason and I find there's a disrespect. It was terrible. I feel so hurt. I feel I could have run out of this place. You understand? When I went back down, they tell me, well, the priest say he don't like how we deal with me. He feel away, he feel heavy, and he want to apologize. And he apologized to me, and he talk, and I like, no, I feel, and he apologized over and over. The next day he see me, he keep apologizing. No, that day he apologized, but the next day now, even though he apologized, me not feel that peace within myself, I still not feeling that peace because, as I said, that forgiveness is not an easy road sometimes. So the next day now I go and buy a next priest now. And what is reason me wrote with. And I'm telling him that priest had to come out from that gate. Was my spirit not comfortable with what go on there. And he trying to tell me, well, don't study that, forgive the priest. But even though he telling me that I feel I forgive him, but really he mean really forgive him, is that certain time the priest turn and say, Empress Leanne, when they crucify Christ, what Christ do? Look what they do him. He started to explain what they do him. He said, best ask God to help the priest and these things. And when he tell me about Christ about 2 or 3 times, about the 3rd time, like he hit the pearl, like he touched the pearl in me, and I felt a whole different vibes. And I started listening. I stopped talking, I started listening and listen and listen and listen. And when that priest done with me, I turn and tell the priest, I said, priest, you help save another soul. And the peace I gained, that is when I felt like I forgave that priest. The peace I felt, I just asked God to help that priest be a better person and not do that to me or anyone else again, my Lord and Empress. And I feel at peace that from his staying here right, we could work together and get it done because he's a man that's deal with God business. You understand? So I'd rather he get better and we really get it and deal with God business. And as they say, mercy bank had to be filled, And it has some heinous things that really need some judgment too, some dread thing like rape and maybe murder and these things that go to a different level. But if the forgiveness and respect is what will help us to come in that unity, which I say is a far way off, but hopefully to really get sincere to deal with the government business. A question I would like to ask the elders before I go, I don't want to go over my time, probably I don't do that by now. A question I would like to ask the elders here is that we are enough for the problems, yes, and give thanks to all enlightenment, Priest Dougie and Empress Maisie. I appreciate love this moment, But I would like to ask a question. Within the foundation, as Empress Maisie talk about loyalty to the foundation, I support that 100%, But like to get governmental work go through and thing, the foundation come like the office, Which part, how we going about that? How to get to start that, to get the process there start, minds to come in agreement to start with there, no matter what part of the world we is, we could be in a oneness and agreement with there to really get the government and the right ways to get the government going from there, my Lord and Empress, because I willing, I willing. Up to yesterday, I get an exemption letter and I tell Jam, I said, Jam, you don't know how we go going, but when you're ready for me flight, you think it's an exemption letter, I have to work on my Lord. Understand? And I leave your hands, but we are willing from
Give thanks,
Master.
Empress. Let's allow them to answer the questions still.
Give thanks to the moment of reasoning, my Lord and Empress. Blessed Lord.
Give
Yeah,
thanks
man,
for
and
your
I give
story.
thanks to, yeah, man, we give thanks to your story, Mama, yeah, we feel the pain and we're glad that you get that redemption through the priest again. Give thanks to doing him job. That's the duty of a priest to make the crooked straight, So, man, we give thanks for your testimonial.
True, my Lord. Give thanks, Majesty, my Lord.
Yes, I.
And to answer the question of how do we get to get the government functioning, that is why we're here. Give thanks to Prophet Daniel
From the headquarters, from the headquarters, Majesty, from the headquarters. What is the way
Yes.
to go about that, really, my Lord?
That is what I'm responding to. Yeah, man. I'm saying give thanks to the forum that the Prophet provide, that we are reasoning, because out of reasoning, we get clarity and solutions. Right now, the headquarters have been calling for a while now for ones who were trained to come in and help to structure. It is the duty now of who is at the headquarters to now put out another international call. You can't, you're there on the job. If you're there and you're there on the job, and you say you need reinforcement, you have to call for that reinforcement. So it's again timely for a call to be made from the light minds on the hill who know what is to be done, to call for support from, the ones and ones of I and I who is not there, who can give that strength. And then we come in and, like I said, we reason and find and chart a map forward. You know, we're not going to all of us now go agree. We can't solve all the problems because a whole heap of problem in this thing. But I think like minds, if the like minds and those that were taught in different departments of government come together, we can find a better way to function than what we have right now. You understand? But a lot of ones don't feel they don't feel like putting themselves out there in jeopardy to come to the foundation at this moment, because so, like I said, so much, I man say I'll video with one stoning them one another upon Sabbath. I myself, you know, come on there, and when I come, it's some little brother where I get to understand, say, you know, we're terrorizing the camp, I say, amongst man and man. Just easy and nice like that, you know. Next thing I know, the brother all in my car. And them thing then, you know, that means say I am exposed without having the security of the foundation like the foundation used to have before. You know, so the ones that are there need to, you know, plug some of them loophole there. You can't invite ones and ones from their space to come into that space if you cannot secure them. That is just reality, you know. And no matter how we have faith and we know Jah will this and Jah will that, Bobo get killed. Bobo has gotten killed on the hill. Bobo there's, you know, man of flesh. You know, flesh can be harmed. You know, Jah give and I wise minds to function. You know, so we have to use wise mind and deal with how we deal with things. So the ones on the hill need to set an atmosphere and inviting the rest of them family to come to dine with them and to reason, and we work forward from there to a functioning government. It will take time and stages, but it is doable. It's not an impossibility. Yes, sir.
It's a big task, you know, but if we just, you know, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. So it's just to begin, you know, to rebuild I would say, you know, the formation of the proper committee and parliament is #1 priority, because everything else needs a governing body, you know, with structure to really make it happen, you know. Otherwise, there's no real authority. And it's not to say we have like a hierarchy still, but, you know, you do, the Constitution, as we've studied, is declares that the parliament is to be the governing body of the association, you know. So without that, you know, when it comes to like tithes, offerings, and all of that stuff, without the proper structure, infrastructure, it's hard to have the right amount of transparency. It's hard to make sure that everybody's voice is, you know, heard and represented. You know what I mean? So it's like everything, all the other problems that we face is really because our government is not, you know, structured properly at this time, you know. And I think that, you know, and that's why we are even talking, we reason about the Constitution, and we're reasoning about the government now, because, you know, other things continue to function, but the government, being our parliament and committee, has ceased from functioning. And it really, you know, I personally see it as like #1 priority. But anyway, just to speak to a couple of little things that was brought up still, but Empress Maisie did ask to speak a while ago, so I'll give the floor over to her. We are kind of getting towards like the end of our time, Empress, so if you could just, you know, keep it in a short amount of time still, that would be good, because we still had a couple more points I wanted to reach.
Okay.
Mama Meals?
We can hear you.
Blessed love.
Yes, I blessed love.
All right, give thanks. Give thanks. Yeah, my Lord, give thanks to all I said and done, you know. So you were talking about the education, right? So
yes.
I am going to touch, you know, a little of it still in my experience, you know. Well, come on the foundation, live on the foundation with 6 with 6 children, you know, and would love them to go to school. Our father, King Emmanuel, Selassie, who's the Minister of Education down there in Ethiopia. Dada always, you know, talk about education. You understand? And he said that he would love the children, them, you know, to be educated, that when they grow up, you know, they can work within the government, you know, work within the office and all of that. So that I always emphasize on, you know, getting the school up, right? The school running, you know, for the children, you know, to go to school. They're still learning when they go to Tabernacle still, you know, the Bible, the salvation way, but the maths and English and all of that wasn't taught in the Tabernacle. So naturally, you know, that would have to start in our school. But from time to time, the father always, you know, talk about school, and brethren would try to manifest, like, you know, make a way for this, for having schools. And sometimes it would go for 2 months, and then sometime 3 months, and then it break down. So over the years, it always start and break down. It never run, you know.
Consistent.
Right. Thanks for the word, my lord. You understand? So I, as a mother, talking about myself, you know, who had so much children, would love to, you know, so that they can read and write to help themselves, look at it's the basic and all of that. When I'm in house, Bobo, I used to be the teacher for them, you know. I used to taught them what I was taught in school, little maths and English, and teach them to read and thing, you know. And we always get the government's book then that they are having school, like the primary, because at the time they were primary students, you know. And the brethren will go like priest pops, and our priest pops will go home when him selling the broom and thing in the school and thing. He would get the book them that, you know, they are reading now, and he will bring them to me, and I would teach my children, you know, the basic education. You understand? So the education, what that, you know, that I and I were looking for to taught in the camp wasn't, you know. We had us to do what we could do as parents. Remember, some of us didn't even go to high school, and some of us just go like all age and thing, you know, and learn what we learn and thing. But thank God for the knowledge that the man gave it I and I. Yeah, we could teach it to our children. Now, when things and the children then get big, and you know, the school, what problem with school now, and the children then realize that boy, them getting big, and them need to go to school to do education and thing. I also send my children out there in Babylon. Yeah, because the school that I wanted up at the camp. You know, how much time that I call reason about the school. Yeah, and at the same brethren them who mashed it down and never continue to teach the children them. And now they're getting big, you know, them need to have the education, they need can read and write, because they used to look at education like, hey, you know, nothing, you know. They used, they used to look on it, told them reason upon education. And not if you can read, I know nothing. You understand? And I see brethren upon the altar, Bobo, when them can't read, how struggle it was for them. And if the same man them turn around and call them dunce. You understand? So them can't read. So I send my children, I wanted to send my children to Babylon school, but I was to do that. And I had also send my children to Babylon school, especially the first big set them. They never get forgotten the basic and the primary. Them have to start off in an early age and so. But the fact still remain, my Lord, even though they never get to go to the primary or the basic. I did that. Yeah. And when them start go school, Bobo, there were up there with those who were going from the basic and the primary. You understand that teachers could not believe
that these children will never go to primary or the basic is equal with those who go and pass them too. You understand? Tell my son, my peer high school, my children them go until them reach the university as bobos. You understand? But what I'm saying that the father, King Emmanuel, ever agitate for a school within the Congress. Yes. And if my king man, Honorable Priest Edley, last time we went to the 140 posts in got cut to build school, and at the same bubble, turn around and take the post where the man spend my money and buy. And then take it and crepe and make other stuff, other things, instead of making the school. Yeah? And if the fathers them, who are children, did come together in a unity and say, yes, we need a school and work, we would have a school upon the foundation.
Too much for
Yeah? Yes. Yeah, but they didn't come together. And when I started to send my children to school, I was cursed and I was all kind of thing, but I didn't pay that no mind. Yeah.
Proud of you,
yes. Because I said I did what I have to do, because when the company ending of the day and them getting older, I don't want the problem with them. So I take, yeah, man. I take the abuse from the brethren them within the camp. When them see my kids going to school, they cuss them and think, I say, watch your will on the edge straight, pay them no mind. Yeah. And now I am a proud mother because they come back up and glorify the work that I did and the step that I make. I never covered because I get so much struggle, but I go through. I know my son, I'm having served at university graduate, Bobo, and the others, them go permanent high school in Jamaica because I make, and you see the step that I make, honorables, other sisters make the step, and their children is as good in some subject and thing. It matures. 11 subject matures sit down pan right now as a priest. 11. You understand me, my lad? So, sometimes we have to take the bull by the horn, them way. Yes. And so no disrespect to our Congress, but company in the day, when we children get big, we can't take the blame. So we have to do what we have to do. But my father, I'm saying this, my father ever wanted the school to run within him Congress, because we are a government. And the children they would turn back and work within the Congress, my Lord. Give thanks.
Yes, give thanks, Empress. Ultimately, when it comes to, say, certain social programs, even such as basic as education, dealing with crime and stuff like that, when the Congress is not functioning, we have to turn to them. But that's what we're reasoning about, is to see how we can what it is all that we're supposed to do as a people, and really set ourselves out to do those things, because you couldn't be respected as a government if you're not, living up to what it is to be a government still. It's not just to call ourselves that, but actually to fill in the role and do the things that a government does for ourselves, so that we don't have to send our children to a public school or go call the police when we shouldn't be doing anything to each other to call the police, really. But when we have problems, we should be able to solve it for ourselves. Otherwise, we are not sovereign. So we give up our sovereignty when we don't have unity.
Totally.
Yes, sir. So one last thing, well, not last still, but one more point that I had found when I looked for the purpose of government is to secure the blessings of freeness, or they say freedom, but to secure the blessings of liberty, freedom, like our freedoms, freedom of speech, freedom of movement, basic fundamental freedoms. Our government should protect those things for each of us, within the confines, if you will, of, say, like the headquarters, but also anywhere in the world we go. If we have our ID card and we as a Congress are functioning properly, we just like how you have embassies of countries inside of other countries, those embassies are there to represent the inhabitants of that country that are from, say, so for us as Congress members, wherever we go, our, you know, headquarters, our government should be able to help to protect our rights anywhere in the world, but especially with inside the campgrounds, you know, and also not just in, like, say, physical, but like amongst each other, because even though I live in America and somebody else may live in Brazil, if I, you know, took someone's money that lives in Brazil and told them I was going to give them something for it and I never gave them, you know, there should be justice provided, you know, in those type of situations amongst ourselves, same way, you know. So, you know, it's just really to identify what is a government, what does a government do, because that's what we have to do as a government, you know. But even the way we do it now is what makes us different, you know, because we don't go about things the way the world goes about doing things. We do it with righteousness as the standard, with Christ as the standard bearer, you know. Yeah, and so, and as you know, I'm a prophet still, but as a priest of this Congress, it's really like you are the ruler of the land, the world, really. And I mean, of course, your governance is over yourself, but also, you know, like as I said, to, you know, straighten what's crooked, you know. So people should be able to come to a priest and get justice, or at least get some guidance as to how to rectify certain situations and stuff like that, whether they be Congress members or not, you know. Yes, I mean,
Go
through.
Yeah, that and what you're speaking to right now is what would be considered to be local government. You know, because there's an international level of function as well that our father, like I spoke to, our father was known for. As a matter of fact, he was more known for that than, you know, for even in the local aspect, which the local aspect is ultimately important for us to function within the confines of a camp and so forth. But we are not just the government, like the committee. The 14-man committee is supposed to do that aspect of the government. But the parliament now is what's supposed to deal with the international issues, you know. And I'll use an example like what is taking place right now in Ethiopia. You understand? Our father's voice would be heard. You know, things like that he definitely would speak to. He would put pen to paper. He would call film secretary to come take some quotings from him and put it into a letter form and send it on to whoever he wants it to be sent to. You know, usually he always copies the Queen of England because she's the one that was a certain level of justice. And then he would send it to the Ethiopian government in whatever way he would. But just using that as an example, there are international affairs. Our freedom has not been totally won, you know. Our father was victorious in securing the acknowledgement that we are due, but we have not negotiated our freedom. Our freedom is still up in the air. We are still in the confines of Babylon. We're still marooned in the Western Hemisphere. Repatriation has not been achieved. So our father said it, and this is not my words. He says his only development down here is freedom, redemption, international repatriation. So no matter what schooling we are getting, what education we are getting, whatever level, and we need our children to be educated. So I am proud of Mama Maisie doing what she do. But no matter what education we have, what skill sets we have, it must be used towards repatriation. So that aspect of governmental function is primary to within the Congress. Because we're not fighting for live down here. This is not what we're fighting for. Like Marcus Garvey said, we are willing to give up America and the Western Hemisphere, but we must have Africa. See, and so we are fighting to be returned home. You know, a right that is due to us. We are demanding that right. You know, right of free passage back from where we were forcefully taken. See, and so the Congress needs to function on that level as well. So like, I must acknowledge what the sister said earlier. It seems a far journey to get back to that from where we are at right now. You know, it's easier to get the local part functioning, but that international representation that we had, that observer status that we had amongst the United Nations and entities like that, which is the United Nations is what you consider a Security Council. You know, we don't have those recognitions anymore. You know, we can't just pencil a letter now and get it into places where the father could. When the father sent a letter, it got to where it's supposed to go, you know, where others would be censored and whatever. The father earned that right. He was able to get his letters to the United Nations that they sent emissary to come reason with him, to Amnesty International that they came, to the Queen of England that she responded, you know. That's the level of function that the EABIC is supposed to be doing. The Church of Salvation is functioning. It is functioning. Service is being kept all over the world. But the EABIC is not, you know, and that's where we need to be thinking and going with it.
My Lord, Honorable Priest, you just know say, because the father work not keep up, right? Because the father set everything already, you know, Bobo.
Truly.
I true we fall off a track, you know, right? The brethren them fall off a track higher. Because the father set everything, we never him just left nothing hard for us to do more than continue on the journey where the man set, you know. Just agitating, you know, see it. But right now, Jadogi, nobody now go agit now, not even knock on doors. Nobody now take up attach kids and go there to the government, go knock on doors for repatriation. That they come like say it all right. You know, and I remember, you know, the father said, Jamaica, I go come rich in sport and everything. Enough Rasta man. Now I go remember say, Ethiopia them a chant for go. And I see that fulfillment right now. Right now, you know, you're not about repatriation and everybody does not try for gravitate off of money to set themselves in a judgment by Babylon, yeah, to be comfortable. You know, see it. But I don't want that, but I want to go home. I want to go home. You know, understand? That's the father saying promise us. He's saying promise us to take us home. And although he leave us, Jadogi and my brothers, him set the way for I and I continue on the agitation of such fulfillment, my Lord. And he tell me, you know, him say, Empress, if it take 1,000,000 years or 1,000 years, it have to happen. And it must happen, repatriation have to happen no matter how long it takes, Bobo. But we have to continue to agitate for it. And don't feel comfortable down here. And that's that I tell me that personally, me and him sit down. One day me I take care of him. And that them kind of reason my father reasoned to me. He give me hope and he give me strength. Yeah, and encouragement to agitate and for such fulfillment. I said, shot must be done. No matter how long it takes, my Lord. Yeah?
Give thanks, Empress. Brother Prophet Joseph, your hand is up. You can unmute.
Hello, my Lord and Empress.
Bless
Give thanks for the reasoning, my Lord and Empress. It's really helpful and enlightening, my Lord. I just want to contribute, my Lord, what I see in regards of the government of. Well, it's really I and I that govern ourselves. You see, so it is a thing that really volunteers really should. Well, and a very important aspect of it is communication, because through communication, it's that healing can take place, right? And we now see the Ethiopian Congress is an international government that I see the way that the international strength of it, if it is, there is a parliament and there is a structure where the strength from the works of every member, whatever they are, internationally can be directed for the mission to be fulfilled. It's really just a thing of communicating amongst ourselves, my Lord and Empress, and really building those bridges of communication so we can reason, we can gather and we can see how things can be developed. But it is the time for it to be fulfilled, my Lord and Empress, because the way I see it, yeah, there is many Bobos all around the world, and how is it that all that strength is not being collected in a way that it's directed in one aim and one purpose? It is because we are not really, well, it's not that we are not gathering to talk together, because we are, but it's supposed that we should, I mean, there should be a structure where all the Bobos, let's say, like locally can reason, and that reason can go up to an international reasoning where all the offices are really linked to each other. I don't know if that's going on right now, my Lord and Empress, but I see that is, I mean, very important for it to happen, that everything, I mean, that we start talking with each other, and we start healing, and we start building bridges to fulfill the mission, my Lord and Empress, because the Father already set it all. All the offices are already set. There is plenty of offices that can be fulfilled from once and once all around the world. And it is natural that Allah, we supposed to go to the foundation and strengthen the Congress there, but right now we could look at the bigger picture where we can strengthen all each other everywhere we are, even in Africa, right? Build an economic strength, because there is plenty of us, my Lord, in robe and turban. And if we communicate, we will build a strength that's working together towards that aim and destiny, my Lord.
Yes.
So yes, give thanks for the reasoning, my Lord and Empress. As I said, it's been really helpful and really enlightening to know really the history of how the Father set us all to come together in one unity, because it's really an African unity, the way to fulfill our destiny, my Lord.
My Lord, give thanks, Prophet Joseph. Yes, I organize and centralize is what His Majesty told us to do, as Rastafari. King Emmanuel, perfected the organize and centralize, and it's really like everybody has said, it's up for us to just do it. When we say it's a far way to go, I think it's really just a change of mind. You know what I mean? One change of mind in the way you see things and the way you see yourself, and the way the loyalty, as one said, to the Congress. And it could go far and not long, It's just a matter of one's changing their mind and changing their heart. He said, give me thy heart and I'll give thee my Father's ever-living kingdom, So the heart is the intention, Yeah. If our intention is to rebuild this Congress and to establish, brotherly and sisterly love, then it can happen overnight, Yeah. And once the love is there, then everything else just would follow, because we would care to take care of each other and make sure, things are safe and stuff like that. Yeah. But, it seems far because it took a long time to get to where we are still, but I think it could happen quickly. That's just my opinion. But at this point, I would like to, open the floor for any closing remarks. We'll do it in an orderly fashion still, but the floor is open. All right. Well, give thanks for the reasoning, same way.
Yes, my Lord. Sorry. I have a little closing remarks,
All right. Give thanks.
Yes, my Lord. We give thanks greatly for this study group here, Yes, and the highlight, that the study group bringing to the world. Always listening on the YouTube right now, YouTube web. We really give thanks, and all who is present, on the Zoom, Blessed love to my lords and the empress, and give thanks for your time, as every Sunday morning we try to clear certain understanding within our Congress, and to show the world all the manifestation of our Congress, our Father lay, starting from 54B Spanish Town Road until this blessed hour, 10 Mile Bull Bay, up on Bobo Hill where we're seated right now within church fulfillments, and the mightyful work, great work our Father put down for really lay this Congress, yeah. The man got through enough lick and all kind of thing. Button broke up on him all 3 times. And as before I remember, and I'm gonna say this one length, police came and soldier came, yeah, and take off the bubbles them and take off my father off of the hill and carry him go on 9 Mile station. See it and prophesying happened down there where 2 policemen crash on 9 Mile there. See it.
Yep,
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah. Yes. And the people them say, shouldn't go trouble Bobo God. Shouldn't go trouble Bobo God. They had us to release my father and them people. See, because we up on the mountain and we are sing praises. See it. We not interfere with Babylon. Yeah. And then left them we and come up on the hill and disturb us all the while. But we give God thanks, all of that cut and clear. The only time a police are come up on the mountain there is when they are patrol, this is everything all right. Or when a member of the Congress call them. Yeah, that them I do know. Any little thing happen is Babylon. Yeah? It's Babylon they call and can't solve a problem anymore by themselves. Because they don't have the understanding in themselves to solve problem. Because them did dead when the father did dead, but them never did learn how to solve problem. Yeah? Yeah? And if you come up to right now, Bobo say, well then, the repatriation and my learning, I don't know if Chris dug it yet. Then say, in the time of redemption, Bobo, I go rule Jamaica for 6 months from King's House. Anybody ready to do that? I know see not one Bobo ready for go rule nowhere. And can't even rule them family. But just for go rule Jamaica. So we need the building here. Yeah. If we manifest all of them things that the Father said we must do, then we have to start. Yeah. We have to start to build ourselves in church fulfillment. Because if that come for reality, you say we have to go rule. Hey, then I'm a minister of education, then I'm a minister of finance, then I'm a minister of health, then I'm a minister of housing, then they don't know what to do in no ministry at all.
All right.
Then I turn like right now that I left and we're coming like loggerhead. Eh? The elders don't know what to do. Because they never did learn when Dada did dead. And Dada did dead and teaching. Everything did depend on Dada alone to manifest. And everything is Dada. And everything is Dada. And Dada make a turn and left them. And if them did learn, Bobo, the camp would be in a better place right now. Because the elders them would take over the foundation. Yeah. And do what they're supposed to do. You see? And teach the young ones then when they come in, the trad and the principle, how them to manifest themselves. But you see, right now as young one come in and turn 3 weeks of them a rule. Yeah, and them a go on that thing, you can't talk to them anymore. You see, so all of that have to stop. And as I said, and Priest Dougie said, and Priest Sedley, him, I the one them say, when they hear him a go call for people. When they hear Daddy, that's all him have to say, people for come. He not say nothing else, He want people for come. He want people for come. I mean, I say the same thing. I want my brothers and sisters them to just come and pay a visit, man. Say things hard, and to find ticket not easy, them days, see, but we have to can plan. You can plan, have a like a saving box. And every time you get a little extra dollar, you drop it in, they say that is my ticket for foundation. And that is my ticket to and no time you see say you have more than ticket. You see, but the effort, and as Priest Dougie said, the kind of publicity will go there against the camp to with gunman and all kind of device. You know, see, cause the ones and ones to be afraid. To be afraid. You understand? So I give thanks to the brave man like Jah Daniel, you know, who never watch nothing and come in the care of I and I, who take care of him for 6 days. And so that's why he can come back to the day and form this study group here and choir practice. And now, Bobo, study group, come on, man. It's what the man come a yard and see. And you know, so the Congress need highlight. Yeah? And the people, the world need to know about the Congress in this fashion and how the Congress rests.
Salute.
Give thanks. Give thanks for today, my Lord. Give thanks to each and every one input. Glorify majesty. I don't want to speak long. Blessed love to the royal family. Utter love, Bobos.
Blessed love, Empress. Give thanks for the words.
Yeah, man, give thanks.
Did have a couple of hands raising. Prophet Clark and Prophet Ron would be next. My Lord Jah Clark, you can unmute. Jah Clarky. We're not hearing you, my Lord. I don't know what's going on.
My Lord.
Okay, my Lord, blessed.
Our family. Heart and love, my Lord.
Yes,
Give thanks to the testimony. Give thanks to the testimony, dear Lord, my Lord, and our peace, Dougie, my Lord, and peace music. Give thanks.
My Lord.
My Lord, for strength and input still. You know, and I sit down and I give thanks to such testimonies. I just had a little thing was to ask you and our peace, Dougie, you know, to the eye, you know. If you ever hear this part about the after the 1958 convention, reference to King Emmanuel now, you know? My Lord?
Yes, man, I'm listening, my brethren.
Yes, my Lord. So this irritation, I just reasoning something here, my Lord. The reference to the prince by the university professor was occasioned by severe harassment, you know, which he received following the 1958 convention. You know, in that year, they said his camp was, you know, raided by the police who harassed them and burned his settlement to the ground. His trial was highly publicized in the city mainly because of the fame of his lawyer, Barrister Evans, who was said to have defended members of the Mau Mau movement in Kenya, my Lord. Yes, so, you know, I just wanted that clarification. You know, if I ever hear that piece of culture from the man, my Lord, or you know about that, my Lord?
Yes, my Lord, that is part of the book that I just published and put out there the other day, the tribute to the elders are in the 21st century. That whole research and account is in there. You know, remember now, it's good that I bring up that because that's another testimonial that needs to be internationalized. When the father was charged for sedition and stuff, he went to court, had this big lawyer, as you said, Mr. Evans, Attorney Evans, Queen's Counsel guy. But at one point, the father never feel like he was doing justice to his case. So at basically the end of the trial, the father took over his own station and made his own speech to the court and so forth. And it was the father's talk that got him off of that incident, that got him out. Now, what is magnificent about that, when he won that trial against the state that day, and the word spread, Iglas left their stalls, people left their offices, people gathered around that courthouse in numbers. They formed 2 lines on each side of the step as the father come out and walk down. And he was heralded with names, you know, Father Moses, Father Joseph, all kinds of biblical names were heralded at him, you know. And people were proud that day. The poor and the have not was proud that day because our father was the first Rastaman at that time to defeat the state and walk out of freedom. Every other elder that was charged went and did some time. They had to do some form of time. Their thing was cramped. The father won by his own representation because Attorney Evans wasn't doing the thing. And our father is a very eloquent speaker and him know how to present his human rights. Because one thing with our father, him don't defend civil rights. See, him defend human rights because civil rights fall naturally under human rights. See, and he knew how to present his human rights, so he defended himself. No, and it was beautiful to see how the people rallied to that sound of victory. You understand? It wasn't Rasta people now, you know, it wasn't Bobo people that was healing him like that, you know. It was it was the average bald man out there and woman shouting and was rejoicing. So yes, my virgin, that was a great account of another victory of the Black Christ, you know.
My Lord, my Lord. You know, give thanks to the eye, my Lord, for that thing, because I read it in a certain script here, you know, which part as I wanted to parley input now, my Lord, to way reason concerning the movement in 1958, even the three virgins and them, you know, I'd always like to mention the name, you know, who was seeking from the University of the West Indies now, you know, which was Rex Nettle Ford,
yeah,
my Lord, Roy Agary and Mr. M.G. Smith now.
Smith, yeah.
You know?
Yes,
Yes, my Lord. Yes, you know? Give thanks for such information and give thanks to the testimony of the eye, my Lord. And you are a family, my Lord. Heart of love unto the nation, my Lord.
Yes, my Lord. Give thanks to Jack Larkin for bringing forth that history. Yes, I, Prophet Ron, my Lord, you can unmute yourself. Jaron. Jaron, my Lord.
Must be going through the same struggle of unmuting.
Blessed love, blessed love.
Blessed Lord.
Thanks for life into the mighty life giver and creator of life. Jah Rastafari. I just want to say I give thanks, you know, today to the Honorable Prophet John Daniel for this linkage, you know, 4 wings of the earth and everybody's linked, you know. I always call it knowledge to acknowledge, where it's iron sharpen iron, strength to strength, eye to eye, heart to heart, you know. I love the reasoning. I love when we all get together because it's every day we learn something new. You know what I mean? And my 3 L's in life is life learned lessons, you know. So I just want to give thanks for the reason and for the season. Blessed love.
It's my Lord. Give thanks for coming, you know, joining us, you know.
Yes, give thanks.
The word sound too. Yes. Priest Dougie, did you have some closing words you wanted to say? Anybody? I mean, the floor is open, but I feel like I remember before I caught on the first hand that was raised, I think that I was trying to say something still. So,
well, my Lord, give thanks, Mama Maisie, because you know, without the eye, the reasoning wouldn't be full. You know, the eye bring forward, you know, some memories there, and some, you know, make I man have to recount some things that, you know, yeah, needed to be said and recounted so the youth them can hear. You know, yeah, we need to get forward to the government aspect of our development, you know, because that is what's going to free us. You know, we chant for our spiritual fortitude, but it's our work that going to free us. And like Mama Maisie said, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. The Father did everything. He laid the foundation up wide the door and set everything. The table set, everything set. Him show us how to do it. It's just I and I to do it. You know, structure that we need or the structure that we see, we have to become that structure. We have to stop looking out ourselves for someone else to do for us what we can do for ourselves. Now, we are here as like-minded ones who can share and break bread the way we have over these weeks and months, you know, showing that there is a set of us in the Congress that is willing to put aside our ego and all those other things that sometimes hamper our unity and become united. Well, we need to be the sample then, you know. Like my brethren always said, be the change that you desire to see. You first have to make that first step. From the I seat, that means it's Jah, it's Dada, it's the Almighty, Ashua and I. See? So I and I need to make that first step, you know, and we can't wait on who not coming and who we think should come, even though we want them to come, you know. It's easier if them come, the process simpler and all of that. But we can't just sit and wait. We need to act, you know, and do the little that we can, you know, to build back the thing one brick at a time, one step at a time. You know, I give thanks to the IDEM participation. I give thanks to the Empress them. You know, they are our balance. Because a man and woman kingdom, prince and princess, king and queen kingdom. You know, so we need each other to feed off of each other's energy and to strengthen one another. You know, see, I need the IDEM for I be strong. I Ubuntu. Without the IDEM, my man is nothing. It's through the IDEM strength that I man can continue to do the work. See, so that is my soul. I give thanks.
Give thanks, priest. Glorify majesty.
All right. Well, yes, I give thanks for everyone, you know, who was with us, you know, for this study group about the Melchizedek's righteous kingdom, Melchizedek's righteous government, you know, this Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress. Yeah, I found the reasoning to be enlightening to myself. I learned some things, you know, that I didn't know before. And I, you know, hope that ones and ones did as well. You know, it's good to know what is expected of us as a government so that we can know, you know, what it is we, you know, really need to live up to, you know. Christ, the standard bearer, you know, laid the foundation and opened wide the door, you know, and it's just for us really now to know ourselves, you know, just like he knew himself to have the authority to establish such a government and to operate as a sovereign, you know, yeah, without asking for permission, you know, because when you're doing right, you don't really need permission to do so. You just, if it's right, nobody would have a problem with it, you know. So, yeah, well, people would have, the wicked would have a problem with you doing right for sure. But, you know, that doesn't matter, you know, still. But anyway, Empress Cindy raised her hand, and then after that, we will just, you know, seal up with a prayer and close up the program. Empress Cindy, can I unmute? Blessed love, Empress Cindy. Empress Cindy, you muted. Can't hear you, Empress. Give you a moment. Okay, if you want to type me a message, you know, maybe I can read it for you if you want to send it to me as a message. Empress Cindy. So I'll give Empress Cindy a minute, you know, to get through. In the meantime, Prophet Clark, he raised his hand again. My Lord, you can unmute yourself and speak. Jack Clark.
I just want to say one thing again, short, my Lord. The law is what will make we govern, my Lord.
Yes, sir.
My Lord, the law, my Lord. Principles, the statutes, the commandment that Negus has taught us, my Lord. And the love is the fulfillment of the law, my Lord. And that will make Israel better, man. and Empress, Prince and Princess, Orthodox.
My Lord. Yes, I 10 commandments and the principles. So Empress Cindy said, give thanks to all on this platform. Give thanks for the elders, them, for the teachings of Empress Maisie and Priest Dougie. Yes. So, give thanks, elders, give thanks for everyone, same way. All right, I'll turn it over to the priest, Honorable Priest Dougie, if you could just seal it up, my Lord. Give thanks, Empress Cindy. Priest Dougie. Okay, maybe you had a technical issue. I just saw him exit the meeting. So in that case, Brother Prophet Joseph opened the program, so we'll allow him to, say the prayer to close it forward.
Oh, my Lord and Empress, I can give thanks for his reasoning, for the light the Rastafari shed upon I and I. Give thanks for the elders with the contribution, my Lord and Empress. Give thanks for the strength of the study group internationally moving through the earth. So, behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren and sisters to dwell together in love and unity. It is like the precious ointment that went down to the bed, even Aaron's beard went down to the skirt of his garment. As the dew of Hermon that descended upon the mountain of Zion, for that the Lord commanded his blessing, even life forevermore. So heal our God, Selassie, Ethiopian God, Rastafari. Our Almighty God, Rastafari, great and terrible God, Rastafari is the Almighty God. Yah, who is seated inside and reign in the heart of all flesh. O the most eternal Father, Jehovah God, Rastafari. Hear us and bless us, O Lord, keep and sanctify your soul. Cause thy holy face to shine upon us, thy children, that we shall be safe and redeemed. O the most high God, Yah, Rastafari. Keep and strengthen us, O the most mighty God, in this journey, spiritual and temporal journey. Give thanks, O the most mighty, for the sacrifice, the living sacrifice of the apostles, the angel, thy saints, thy prophet, thy priest, and thy empress, in the foundation of the Lord. Holy Emmanuel,
Selassie.
Right.
My Lord and Empress.
Give thanks, Honorable. Give thanks, everyone, in the Zoom meeting. It was a pleasure, as always, to be, to be in the presence of everyone and to reason and sharpen one another. One hand wash the other. Give thanks for all those watching on YouTube right now, live, and those that will watch it in the future. Just give thanks for all good things said and done thus far. Hopefully, these things that we reason about as far as our government will, come into start functioning, sooner than later. Priest Dougie did rejoin the group, so I don't know if he wanted to say something or what, so I'll just give him a moment to get his audio connected, and then I'll, end the meeting. Anyway, this is the African Liberation Network. I'm the host, Prophet Daniel. And this, we are the Bobo Shanti Study Group. Give thanks to everyone, Not possible without all of the ones who consistently call in and share and reason, Yeah. So, Priest Dougie's his audio is not connected, but due to the time, I would just like to close up the reasoning still. So, strength and powers, my Lord and Empress, in this 6 days of labor, our guidance and protection, going out and coming in from this time henceforth and forevermore. Selassie, Jah, Rastafari.
Rastafari.
Bless you, love.
Only part of the family, my Lord. Strength.
Worthy. That's it.
Blessed love.
Honorable God.